This stuff will make you a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus. Just like me.
Oh yeah, baby. Are you ready to be a sexual tyrannosaurus? That's where we're going today. All women love swindlers. You, me, we're all hustlers. We're all swindlers. By order of degree. You're a salesman. I'm a salesman. Women have standards. Men have standards, right? We're supposed to. Do we? Do we still have those? There's so much going on with this story. So much. I'm glad I waited, actually. So glad I waited.
You want a guy that's sweet, a guy that's tough, a feminist who likes to pay for stuff, the kind of guy that gets along with your friends without being attracted to any of them. A good boy, a bad boy, a good bad boy, a half good, half bad, half boy. Loves your brother, sensitive but not weekend. Is a great lover, calls your mother on the weekend. Now you might think that this guy only exists in your mind. But guess what? You're right. If you want love, lower your expectations a few, because Prince Charming would never settle for you. If you want love, just pick a guy and love him. And if he's got a thing for feet, say fuck it, sweep me off them. Now, you know what you...
Oh, yeah. Welcome. Oh, there it is. I got to fade myself back in. Oh man, just getting back into the studio after a full week off. Actually, technically 2 weeks off. So I apologize for my long delay, but I wasn't actually taking a break. I was in Miami, as you guys probably already know. I was out there fresh and fit. That was one. I also did the Patrick Bet David show, and that was on Tuesday. Oh, gosh. When was that? The 8th? God, what is today? Today's the 20th. And then, unbeknownst to me, I got to do, I hit it off pretty well with Adam Sosnick, who is the co-host of the PBD show. And yeah, that was a lot of fun. And people have asked me, they said, Rollo, are you going to do a breakdown of your show? I got to do a breakdown of my breakdown. Okay, I guess I can. You guys want me to do that? I suppose I can. Gosh, I'm still trying to readjust things in here. I did Rule Zero yesterday on Paul Benjamin's channel. So if you didn't get a chance to look at that, we actually talked about Tinder Swindler, and people kept asking me about it. I'm sorry if I'm a little laggy here today. I've got a bunch of media that's waiting in the wings here. Let me remove our good friend out of there. Did you like that? I thought that was a pretty snappy little intro right there. Lower your standards, girls. You ready? You're going to dumb yourself down for me, please? That was, sorry, let me get the camera going again here. Sorry, it's the help. It's the my housekeeper comes in here while I'm gone, and then now I have to push things around. So I actually have somebody come in here and clean the studio now, which is nice. So anyways, yeah, so I did the the Patrick Bet David show was really fun. I enjoyed myself there quite a bit. Patrick is a great guy. Hung out with him afterwards. We did they usually have this sort of post show kind of meeting, and that they have a really great operation, Valuetainment does, in Fort Lauderdale there, and it is a dedicated space. I believe they've got two-story building, might be taller than that even, but certainly the bottom floor is dedicated to just the Valuetainment shows. And then they also have another studio. I believe Adam said it was like about 6 blocks away, where they are kind of doing the same thing that the Blaze was doing when I was out there in Dallas in December. It's a dedicated space, a dedicated building where they've got multiple studios, and they're going to be doing different shows and such there. So we'll see how things go. I'm not not making any predictions. I'm not dropping any hints or anything like that, but it was a very productive, very great show. Not the least of which I got to meet a now good friend, Victoria Larson. And no, not the doctor. She hasn't talked to me since. And what's funny is because she really liked me in the beginning, and it kind of got maybe a little bit flirty with me in the beginning. But by the end of that show, that wasn't the atmosphere. So I thought that was interesting. If you haven't seen those shows, please go look them up. Patrick Bet David, it's just the PBD podcast. It's on Valuetainment, and then the Sauce Cast, which is his Sauce Talks, or something like that. Myron and Fresh were actually on that show. They got asked out there on Thursday of last week, which actually I thought was one of their best shows off site, away from their own studio, simply because they were sort of, I think, on an even footing. And that I didn't get the impression that they were walking into a trap. I didn't get the impression that they were on a back foot or anything like that. And there weren't ratchet girls on there. By order of degree, anyways. And I have no idea who the women are, by the way. So I'm just sort of speaking third party here. But I think Myron and even Fresh got in some pretty good points during that whole thing, and I think they do really good numbers when I'm on there and when Myron was on there as well. Not to gloss ourselves any, but I think that this material and the red pill and the intersexual dynamics in the way that I do it and the way that Myron does it as well. I think that, Adam actually, exactly, Jimmy. Yeah. Adam actually let him talk, right? He actually got to make a couple of points there. And I also thought that was pretty good when I was on there as well, because Adam he's kind of a good dude, man. He's definitely got the gift of the gab, G-A-B, the gift of the gab. Go look it up. And he is definitely a good, he makes a good talk show host. And he and I hit it off. Everybody told me that I was not going to get along with him because he was like really super blue pill. And I was like, I'm not getting that from this guy. But Adam and I hit it off. I brought him out to actually he lives in Miami. So he came out to the Fresh and Fit studio. We were actually on one of the after hours show, just kind of sitting on the couch, just bumming around and asking questions, and just, having him on the couch there for the Fresh and Fit studio. You can definitely tell he's definitely a show host. Oh, Double Mountain Coffee. Got to get the plug in today. Whew, man, strong today too. All right, so we're going to talk about the Tinder Swindler today. And I had so many people ask me to do this show while I was in Miami and I was away from the studio. I had my traveling rig, but I was just like, to do this show justice, I got to be in the studio and I got to do my homework. And you'll be happy to know that I've got tons and tons of notes today. I always do my homework. I'm always come prepared, and I expect the class to come prepared as well.
Hello there, children. How's it going?
So please take notes if you would be so kind. Oh man, do I have anything about alpha females? Oh, would you like me to answer that later on? Sam, put that in the queue for questions later on, because I'll get to that later on today. Speaking of which, hi, Fem Sapien. If you don't know this, by the way, I am also doing the 6 with Donovan for this season, however long that season goes. I am also going to be doing some stuff with George Gammon very soon, probably like May, I think is when he wanted me to come out there and do it. I will also be at the Rebel Capitalist convention, conference, whatever he's calling it, in Miami in June. I'll be doing my own workshop there. In May, I'll be doing his collective. He's got a collective thing that was his private group that I'll be doing a talk at. That'll be in May. And yes, the 5th book is on the way. It is not yet approved, but I expect it will be by the beginning of this week. So it is out with Amazon at the moment, and barring any major edits, we should be able to get that out and available soon. The audio will be hot on the heels of that once it's ready to go. So that's your update. Now back to Tinder Swindler. Boy, don't you even love the name Swindler? He's a swindler. It's so salacious, and it's so indignation generating that I had to touch on that part first. What I think is funny to me is when we're talking about like standards and we're talking about what it is. I think my most recent my most recent sort of shtick, I guess, or what I've been talking about recently has been the transactional nature of intersexual dynamics. I talked about this on the reason I was bringing up the 6 is, yesterday we talked about is there such a thing as unconditional love, and why is it such a big deal? And my main point in that discussion, I think anyways, was the fact that it's, when we're talking about love, we're talking about particularly the differences in concepts of love. When we're talking about between men and women. If you have read book 1, you already know what I'm going to say. Iron Rule of TOMASSI number 6 is women fundamentally lack the capacity to love a man in the way that a man believes that a woman should be able to love him. Now, people go and take that, as I've said in the past, they take that and they pervert that into a million different things. And this is the fake Rollo, so you guys can go and kick this asshole out. Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia.
Yep. You know what? You guys love me so fucking much. It's so great. It's so awesome that you'll create 80 separate proxy accounts so you can impersonate me on my own show. I'm right here. I'm not in the chat, asshat. It's nice to know that you care so much. It's nice to know that you care so much about the other guys. And by the way, we've just been plagued by these guys recently, whether it's on Instagram creating like fake accounts, or it's on making fake comment accounts and trying to stir up shit on other sites that that people know we frequent, or they know that they would love to start some sort of controversy. So they come in, steal my AV, and then they put up their, then they start talking shit about whoever is on that show. And then it ends up, suddenly there's this war. So be advised, I'm not in the chat right now. However, I do have, let's see, Torcha's not in there yet, but Sam is there. And I know Samishi is in there as well. So have at it, man. Have at it.
Bye, Felicia.
So anyways, getting back to Tinder Swindler, this is a really kind of salacious story. And the reason why you know about this and not some other things that I'm going to talk about today is because it triggers indignation. So there's a lot of different things to cover in this. The reason I was talking about concepts of love is because there is a condition set on for women's opportunistic concept of love. There are conditions set upon that. And one of the points I was making, oh, hey there. Oh, there you are. Finally.
Hey, y'all.
Okay. So Torcha's in the house. Kick these trolls. Drop the ban hammer, please. Thank you very much. So the reason why I was talking about this is because when I have noted in the past the dynamics or the concept of love between men and women, men love idealistically and women love opportunistically. And this comes as a result of sort of our evolved differences when it comes to what our mating strategy is. So for women tend to be interested in quality, men tend to be interested in quantity. Now, when it comes to conditions of love, that is the compromise between the mating strategies of men and the mating strategies of women. However, in a gynocentric social order, the mating strategies of women is what sets the social dialogue for us, and certainly has since the sexual revolution up to this point. Now that we've done that review here, the reason why I'm getting into that side of the whole love dynamic or the concept is because for women, it is necessarily opportunism. Women will not allow themselves to invest themselves emotionally unless the guy who has the potential to be intimate with her checks off some of those boxes. Okay. Royce, the PUA, honestly, he's not really a PUA. He used to write about game quite a bit. The blog used to be called Royce in DC. Then it transformed into Heartiste.org. You can go look at the archives of it now. The blog has been out, sort of defunct, I think, since 2019. However, when I quote Royce used to say, he's the one who was talking about, how to game women at certain ages. But overall, when we're talking about women's criteria, he brought up what was called the 436 bullet point checklist, and there's probably not quite 436. However, that was meant to emphasize or illustrate the fact that women have a criteria, a set of laundry list of prerequisites for men to meet in some way and to some degree and in certain priorities before they will allow themselves to emotionally invest in that guy. Now, what happens is a lot of guys take that and they run with it and they think, oh, I'll never measure up to all of these standards that women have. Well, let me give you some good news, Doomer. Those priorities tend to change. and they change with the necessity of that woman at different phases of her maturity. So don't think of it in terms of, oh, I'll never measure up, I'll never be what I want. You might not now, but you probably will be later, or you'll be something more than you are later. And so what they do is they end up turning into this guy.
It's always like, yeah, of course girls are gonna go for like Johnny Spells because he like has a motorcycle and is like super in shape. But like there's like nice guys who honestly like have a lot to offer that they would like never.
I mean, oh, I hate that I'm gonna even tell you this, but like I think that you feel like you have a lot to offer, and please take this the right way.
Sure.
You don't.
Hard to see a great way to take that, if I'm being super honest.
Like, what are you doing to work on yourself to make yourself more interesting and attractive? Like, are you just thinking that women should, like, change themselves and lower their standards in order to date you? I'm saying this to you now because, like,
wow.
I really think it will help you, even though it's very hurtful.
It's like Siobhan didn't say vicious mockery, but I think she's casting vicious mockery.
There you go. Somebody threw that in my my Twitter today, and I thought, yeah, you know, I've actually seen this before. This is actually a pretty old clip that is suddenly becoming rediscovered now, and I also thought that that was pertinent to today's discussion. Well, how so? Well, let me explain to you why. Because when we talk about opportunism, we talk about the 436 bullet point checklist that woman has to have. Now that woman and that girl, let's just say in that clip there, not exactly not a voluptuous ratchet sex pot that we all claim is infiltrating Fresh and Fit, or that's those women are ratchet women in Miami, and that's not the way women are all over the world. Except they are. To some degree they are. That's hypergamy, and there's nothing wrong with that. Now, people want to say, well, Rollo will say, well, you're beating down women, or you're beating up on children, or what? No. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to explain the general dynamics here of how things work with women. Now, does that mean every woman is going to be that upfront and that like in your face about things? Well, a lot of them are, especially in the social media age, definitely. Especially when you're trying to do a gaming podcast. I think they were playing some sort of role-playing game at that point, and she was actually one of the players, and the guy who was answering the question was actually like the dungeon master or the game master or something like that. So that comes up. That's what pops up. Now, that's not a red pill podcast, but there you have it. Okay. And then remember, that was like, I think 2019 when that came out. And so people asked me to opine on that. So here I'm opining on that because it fits into what we're going to talk about today when it comes to the Tinder Swindler, right? What do you got here, Rollo? This is for the guidance. Oh, thank you very much. Do I have to give you that? Started our company in Mexico with my father. For myself, I'm doing everything that I've always wanted to. Slow and steady wins the race. Yes, it does. Get rich slow, my friend. Don't get rich fast. You'll thank me later. Now, getting back to the Tinder Swindler here, this is my buildup, and John from Modern Life Dating is going to join me later on today. But I'm sort of like, I'm glad he's I think he's waking up and getting his morning coffee at this point in Japan. But I'm glad he is, because I kind of want to make this buildup. Now, you already saw the sort of the joke that I had with the guy playing the piano and talking about, you ladies, you want all of these things on this list. Now you have this guy who's in this role-playing game, podcast there. And suddenly it's like, you don't have all these things. And, it's kind of doing one of these things. Well, at this point in her life, she probably feels like she can certainly boldly state something like that on a podcast and sort of, certainly embarrass this guy. Like, you're not all that. You don't measure up. That's essentially what that is a rejection, a pre-rejection. You want to talk about pre-selection? There's also pre-rejection. And that was a real good example of a pre-rejection right there. However, you have to remember that when it comes to status and when it comes to social proof and when it comes to, pre-selection, there's pluses and there's minuses to the social media age. There's pros and there's cons, right? And for women, it tends to be all based on perception. And that's really what the basis of the Tinder Swindler is. It's perception. It's generating a particular persona according to a fantasy ideal of women. Now, the guy that I just showed you in the role-playing game right there, this guy, and I wish I knew their names. I don't. I apologize. Somebody will certainly tell me in the comments later on. However, That's not important. What's important now is you've got this woman who's at a certain phase in her life, and she feels comfortable enough and bold enough to go and tell this guy to his face, hey, look, you're still a nice guy and you're a chump. And perhaps you will later in your life make, 6 or 7 figures as a coder or in a STEM field or doing this podcast, God knows what. But at this point right now, you don't measure up. That's a pre-rejection. It's not, we talk about pre-selection, that's pre-rejection. It's trying to say, oh, I'm trying to help you, with a little giggle to it. And the girls in the group are giggling too. Those girls are probably, including the one that was talking to this guy, are maybe a 6, and I'm being generous. Sorry, I'm not pandering. I'm simping. Okay, I'm being generous here. Maybe she's a 6, a mousy wallflower 6. She is certainly not one of these made up girls on Fresh and Fit. She's certainly not one of these girls on, and South Beach. Okay, let's be honest here. But still, that's the message. So let's stop with the bullshit first about how. It's only this one demographic of women. It's only those girls who are like this. It's only those girls in Miami. And I think Myron tried to make that point as well while he was on Adam's cast. And I think that the more guys become aware of this of intersexual dynamics of the red pill, become a red pill aware, they will see those similarities in the women in context with their localized sexual marketplace, if they're not already seeing it now. So when people want to qualify things and say, well, those women are damaged, something's wrong with those girls. Well, okay, keep that in mind, because the girls we're going to talk about today, we're going to ask that same question. So there's 3 girls that are involved in this whole thing. There is Cecilia, there is Pernilla, and then there's, what's her name? Arlene. I think Arlene, yes. In the Netflix series, The Tinder Swindler. And I will break that down for you guys here in just a second. Like, if you haven't seen it, by the way, if you haven't seen Tinder Swindler, there's going to be spoilers. So that's, I can't talk about Tinder Swindler without, I'm going to fuck that up this whole show. I cannot talk about it unless I am spoiling it for you. So if you haven't seen it, turn off this now, go watch it, and then come back, and then you can get your yayas. Okay. Now, if you have seen it, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm going to spoil it for you now. Okay, what it is simply based on is one guy who is a very, I would say, elite level game hustler, and essentially bilks these women like really a Ponzi scheme is what they bring. They say it in the actual series itself. And what the guy does is he moves from girl to girl to girl, and they all fit a particular demographic, and we're going to get into that. But more so, what he does for himself, this guy's name is Simon Leviev, and that's not his real name. It's something else. I don't even know. It's like he pretended to be like a Mossad agent. He is from Israel. He was wanted in Israel for essentially fraud, doing the same thing in Israel before he decided to take it on a global scale. Let's say he scaled up. he expanded and scaled up his business to a global scale. It went from Israel to a worldwide scale, which I thought was interesting. So here we go. Now, why was he able to get away with this? I'm going to show you. Now, the guy, I'm using this video with permission. It is from 2012. I wrote a post back in 2014 on this video that debuted on YouTube, by the way, in 2012. That's how long I've been doing this. Okay. This is a 10-year-old video that I'm about to show you, and it still holds up today. It still teaches the same lesson today. And I wrote an essay called Hysteria. I don't think I've put it, I'm pretty sure I haven't put it in any book because it's kind of dependent on these 2 videos. But the best one of these is the one I'm about to show you here. Now watch this.
My name is Brett. I'm 21 years old, living in New York City, the greatest city in the world. My whole life, I've always wondered what it would feel like to be famous. Nowadays, it seems like anyone can achieve fame. Why can't I do it too? So I came up with this crazy idea. I could probably walk around these same streets tonight and immediately become the center of attention, just by appearing to be important. To pull this off, I changed my appearance to make myself look like a typical celebrity. Then I gathered an entourage and came up with a plan of action. I'll have bodyguards, assistants, and a few photographers follow me around Times Square, and of course I'll bring along a camera crew to film every second of it. We'll walk past thousands of people. They'll have no idea who I am or where I'm from, but they're all gonna fall for it.
walking away by himself. What do you think of that? Yeah. Now remember, this is 2012. This is before, well, really, was it before Google bought YouTube? I can't remember. Maybe they had already bought them by then. But there was, social media wasn't what it is in 2012. That was 10 years ago, right? Obviously, clearly it is. And I used that as a really great example. I mean, I called the post back then, I called it hysteria because it's very easy to inspire hysteria. And I think we've learned that lesson in the last 2 years, really. However, and before you get really, you lose all faith in humanity here. What I'm looking at here is it has never been easier to manufacture social proof than it is in 2020, in the 21st century, really. And I saw in the chat, as this was going, I knew this was going to happen because a lot of the people in the comments back in 2012, by the way, were saying pretty much the same thing you guys are as well. Well, it seems like pretty expensive game. You'd have to hire an entourage and get somebody to be a cameraman and whatever. And back in 2012, you might have been right. But today, everybody's got one of these. And that's all they've got. And nobody's looking at it because they all want to get wrapped up in the hype. They all want to believe that guy, who, by the way, look at the guy. Yeah, dressed up. He's okay. He's got a symmetrical face, but he's certainly not he's not a Justin Waller. I'm going to keep using Justin as Giga Chad. Justin Waller is as close to Giga Chad as I know, but that dude is definitely not. How tall do you think that guy was? I mean, he clearly was he looked like he was 5'8", maybe. I don't even think he was 5'9". I'd be surprised if he was 5'9", but certainly not a tall guy, certainly not 6 feet. We know that. And the Tinder Swindler was 5'6", I believe, somewhere around 5'6" or 5'7". He was a short guy as well. 5'8", is that what he was? Yeah, 5'5". Okay. So Tinder Swindler guy, Simon Leviev, was it 5'7"? Is that what you guys are saying? Mighty Wolf, is that the consensus? Did they say? I know they said that in the actual break or in the actual documentary. The dude was very short, let's just say. And matter of fact, that was the first thing that the second girl, Pernilla, says in that in the documentary. She says, "Oh well, he was kind of short for my tastes." But I got around that. I got around that because he seemed like he had, a private jet and he had his shit together. And here I am in my epiphany phase, and I really need somebody. I've really got to consolidate on somebody soon before my eggs dry up and blow away. But the reason why I launched into this whole topic today with that very 10-year-old video is I wanted to show you guys just even back in 2012 and even prior to that, I could probably find examples of similar ways of manufacturing social proof, status, at least cues and imagery, and the idea or the impression of status. It's very easy to do. It's very easy to do that now. You want to know why we're even talking about Tinder Swindler right now is because it's so bloody easy right now. It's never been easier to manufacture social proof, at least from a third-party sense. And that is really why Simon stands out amongst all of the rest. That's why he is head and shoulders above. What was it? I think I was reading was it Hotep Jesus's aggregate blog? It's Men of Order. They did a breakdown of this. There was a piece. I forget who wrote it, but they were saying, the guy is probably one of the most elite level guys when it comes to game that there is. And that game really relies on bullshit. Okay, we know that. Okay, fine. We know that it's all false. We know that this guy who's walking away with nobody hanging out with him at the end of that video, we know that's bullshit. But look at what's happening in the meantime. And I think we're getting to the point right now societally, and it's not just men, but there's also women as well. In fact, I would almost argue that it's more so women than it is men. But in fact, no, I would definitely argue that it's more so. There are more Tinder swindlers of women than there are of guys. The only reason we bring this guy up is because it worked against women's interests rather than for them. And when women are the swindlers, we don't hear about it. And we're going to talk about one of those here towards the end of today's show as well. However, I wanted to throw those ones out there in the first place because we have to look at how social proof and how manufactured fame, I guess, is easy to deal with and easy to do right now. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to break down, there's so much that's going on with this. And I think a lot of guys are primarily focusing when I see these detailed shows of Tinder Swindler, they tend to focus on the women, or else they tend to focus on like the perniciousness of Simon Leviev, right? And because he gives men a bad name, right? Oh, well, not all men are like that. Or I think even in the documentary, I heard one of them say, let me speak for the men of Israel. We're not all like this kind of thing, like trying to like preempt it and sort of pre-apologize for the men of Israel. We're not all swindlers like this. The very fact that would be the first reflexive response from any guy just tells me that that's where their mind goes. That's particularly guys who are sort of steeped in scarcity mentality. Well, I don't want anybody else to think that I'm like that too. And I've got a lot of money, but I'm actually legit. I'm authentic and he's not authentic. And I don't want the world's women to think that I'm not authentic. Let me get in here real quick. Rollo, they have actual places, in particular, narcissistic cities. LA comes to mind, where you can take photos in a studio that are designed to look like the interior of a private plane. Yes, I've seen those before. Never been easier. Yes, I know. And then thank you very much for that, Fish Oil Jacuzzi. I just bought the Rational Mail on Amazon, a third of the way through it. Lots of good info. I can give some advice. The book deserves to be okay. Thank you very much. Yeah. Well, I'll also explain this to you as well. Fish Oil is, I have Andrew, my editor, who did the work on book 4, is working on book 1 right now. And I'm doing re-edits on it right now. So thank you for that. However, let us continue, but thank you for the information. Not something I didn't know already. People always ask me about that. They say, Rollo, the type in the first book is so small. I go, yeah, because I wanted to cram as much as I could into it, because I thought that was going to be the only book I would ever write. And so I had no idea it was going to become the Bible of the red pill. And so now I really feel like I need to go back and, we're almost 10 years now. It published in 2013. So we'll be 9 years in October. So it might be time for another edition at some point. And yes, hardbacks are in the works right now too. I've already got, I've got the first and the fourth book that are in the works for hardbacks, just so you know. Okay. So when we're talking about social proof and when we're talking about pre-selection, now there's two different, I think people, maybe I should clarify this. I think a lot of people get confused between the two. Like, isn't it the same thing? No, it's not the same thing. So when we're talking about pre-selection really only applies to women. Pre-selection is part of social proof for women, for sure. But it's usually when women are making that they're using the hypergamous filter, otherwise known as feminine intuition. And so pre-selection is something that women have to sort out for themselves and sort out amongst themselves. So when we talk about pre-selection, and I'm going back to like the foggy days, the heady days of PUA, and trying to update it a little bit here. When I talk about pre-selection, it comes down to a woman trying to figure out a guy. And that's really all Tinder Swindler is these women trying to figure out if this guy's the real deal. He settled that for them from the get-go. And that's the sign of a really good player, by the way, is a guy who can say, you know what, I'm the real deal. Even if that's bullshit, I'm still the real deal. And you should believe me and you should go along with my story here. And so as a part of that, there comes a process where when guys, they say, well, is she shit testing me? Is she testing me? Is she trying to, there's this constant like back and forth, and I'm not really good at that. And how do I get better at it in game? That process of shit testing you or filtering through you, trying to determine if you're the authentic guy, if you're the real deal, that is part of pre-selection. So when she's looking at your Instagram, that's part of pre-selection. When her girlfriends are saying, "Oh yeah, that guy on New York," like the guy was walking around New York, he's hanging out with these girls, and the girls are making up their own stories about that guy. That's pre-selection. Perfect example of pre-selection. Women don't need much to go on to create that impression for themselves. In fact, so little is necessary that a Tinder profile is enough to convince them in most cases. Now, you have to back it up with stuff, and that's exactly what Simon does here. He backs it up with more bullshit, but still, he understands women's nature well enough to play into that fantasy. And so that fantasy is there's something that women want to see, and they're pre-selecting, or they're trying to figure out if this guy is authentic. Is he really the real deal? And women can't just, as egotistical and as hubristic as women are, they still can't depend just on their own good judgment of judge of character of a guy. They need outside input. They need third-party input is what they need. They need third-party data. And that's where pre-selection comes in. Other girls, other women, in some cases, maybe even other men will either approve or disapprove of that guy. And I think one of the reasons why the women in Tinder Swindler were so easily duped, let's just say, is no one told them not to. Women want to believe that the Tinder Swindler is legit, just in the same way that they wanted to believe that the guy in the streets of New York, the Spider-Man actor in New York, was what he really agreed to. And now you'll also see there's other guys. There's like some teenage kids there. There was that black guy that was in there. There's some other dudes that were there. And they're like, oh yeah, I've seen his stuff. He's really great. And then they would say, have you heard any of his music? Oh yeah, it's great. You know, I don't know what the newest track is, but I've heard his old stuff. And they'll just sit there and they'll bullshit, but they'll create the story for you because everyone else is doing it along with them. And so that pre-selection, and that's really, that's in that case, it's kind of social proof rather than pre-selection. So when guys are saying, oh yeah, I've seen the Spider-Man movie, this guy was great in it, or yeah, I've heard his music before, that's kind of like social proof in the sense that these guys want to sort of gravy train or ride on their familiarity with a guy who has some higher status than they do, or perceived higher status than they do. And so when guys see women giving this one guy, pre-selection and love and attention and attraction, certainly arousal, whatever. When you see enough of that, those guys want to at least in some way be associated. They want to bask in the glow of that guy because they can't be that guy, but they would like to be associated with that guy. And if they can't actually be associated with that guy, they have to be familiar with that guy. And so they'll make up their own bullshit and they'll go and lie straight face to the camera that they know this guy who is clearly a fraud, but they'll do it anyways. And I think that is a very important aspect. And I wrote this, by the way, in actually the first 2 or 3 chapters of the Player's Handbook, which is coming out soon at the end of this month. But pre-selection and the impression and perception is key here in all of this. It doesn't matter if it's legit. It doesn't matter if it's authentic, not at that stage. I'm not saying later on it doesn't. I'm not saying, oh, to be unethical and immoral, whatever you want to call it. I'm not saying that. I'm just analyzing the process here. Anything I say today, including the talking about these guys and the guy in New York, this is not an endorsement of that. Please, I'm not saying, hey, guys, try this and then you'll go get laid. That's not what I'm saying. I am not saying dupe women. I'm not saying go and coerce women or trick them into anything. But I want you to be aware of the mechanics behind all of that. And had the women in the Tinder Swindler been aware of that, maybe the outcome would have been a little bit different. Maybe if they had been exposed to some sort of red pill the manosphere, whatever we're calling it today, they watch one of my shows, maybe the outcome would have been a little bit different for them instead of the $250,000 in debt that they are as a result of that. So I wanted to make sure that I put that out there right there from the beginning. I'm not saying here, Rollo said to be unethical and be a son of a bitch and inauthentic. That's not what I'm saying. I'm pointing out the mechanics behind all of that. What's this? Yes, this is great. Thank you, Carlos, for this. The art of seduction. There is no known defense. However, against insinuation, the art of planting ideas in people's minds. And it has never been easier than 2022 in the social media age to do exactly that. And that's what gets me. And I know that when John finally comes on here at some point, he'll probably say the same thing. It's all perception. That's all Instagram is. Most of the stuff that happened in Tinder Swindler was the result of the fact that the impression and the imagery and everything that went along with it was so readily available and so easy to find. So keep that in mind as we progress. And what the hell? Thank you very much again, Fish Oil. You clearly have a lot of knowledge and know what you're doing. Just to think the book needs some garnish. Okay, thanks. Yeah. Okay, you got it. Understood. Here, you want one of these too? Yeah. Well, you have to remember, Fish Oil, I wrote that back actually the material that's in it, I wrote it back in the mid 2000s. And the book itself was published in 2013. And yeah, you're right. Mea culpa. Yeah, you're right. It does need some more polish, and that's why it's with Andrew right now. Thank you. GTQ, thanks for that as well. And who else do I have in here? I'm going to back up just a little. Thanks for watching this for me, Sammy. Chris Williamson, JP's assistant. Yeah, used your sexual market graph on the YouTube's Boys Cast. Really? Got to see that, man. Can somebody give me that? Give me the link to that. I did not know he used that. I would love to see that. Wow, thanks, Chris Williams. Did I get a plug for that? At least, did I get a reach around, Chris? Since you'll talk to him, but you won't talk to me. Okay, fine, whatever. Do what you got to do, man. Missouri man, why can't these women talk about Simon? They are basking in their 15 minutes of fame. Oh, it's not 15 minutes, Missouri man. It's quite a bit longer than that. I'm going to show you why. I don't think they've been alpha widowed. I don't think they have been alpha widowed from Simon. No, they haven't. But they've been alpha widowed from the idea of a guy just like Simon. I already said that. It's at the end of this month. It's with Amazon in approval right now. Thank you very much. Try to keep up, children. Let's see. Oh no, you're asking me who I was talking to. I got this from who told me this? It was Born Yesterday. Born Yesterday says Chris Williamson's is he actually Jordan Peterson's assistant? He said Jordan Peterson used your Chris Williamson used your sexual market graph on YouTube Boys Cast episode 106. They're good guys. Thought you should know. Okay, well, I don't think Chris Williamson is actually a good guy, but that's just my opinion thus far until things change. So anyways, so I wanted to get into I got my notes here. I think I might well go over these. Now I'm going to hit on a lot of different topics today. I've already talked about pre-selection versus social proof. Social proof, by the way, is not necessarily like female specific. When we talk about pre-selection, that is female specific. Pre-selection refers primarily to hypergamy. The hypergamous filtering process depends on pre-selection because women can't just trust their own guts. Clearly they can't because of the Tinder Swindler, right? I'm going to keep saying Twinder all day long. Sorry. They can't. So that what do? They look for third-party endorsements unless that guy is so hot and so perfect and answers the hypergamous doubt. The question that the hypergamous doubt asks every woman is he the best I can do? And when the Tinder Swindler, Simon Leviev, comes up and he shows up in your Tinder and you swipe right on him, that question is answered in the affirmative. And to the exception of, I don't want to hear any other woman telling me different. Although most of the women were saying, you go, girl, you only live once. Fear of missing out, right? I'll get into that too. Would you say book recommendation status game by Will Star? Yeah. Okay. You know, what's funny is I've been seeing a lot of people like depending on status as and I'm not saying status isn't important. Obviously, clearly I'm not here today. I think that we have to take everything in whole. And so when we talk about social proof was this guy walking down the streets of New York and everybody backing him up and patting him on the back. Pre-selection is the girls going, hey, he's good, girl, you should get with him. And the girls who's with that guy says, wants to get with that guy and her girlfriends aren't cock blocking or whatever. They're the ones that are going, who are third party giving him an endorsement. And one, I think I mentioned this on Freshman Fit not too long ago. When you are dating a woman, or when you are like even gaming a woman, you're sarging a woman, you're approaching, you're trying to get in her pants or get into her life, be intimate with that woman. You're not just doing it with her. You're doing it with her mom, with her sister, with her best friend, with her high school classmates, with her coworkers, with the girls at the gym. Anyone that is that's following her on Instagram that sees your pictures on there as well, they're also influencing that social proof and that pre-selection as well. And that's like I've said before, and I'll say it again. This is in the introduction of book 5. Okay, dating is brand management now. And in 2012, it was easy maybe this guy was more expensive, I should say, to walk down the street and manufacture his own fame and social proof. But today, it's even easier than that. As I've said before, all you need is a good quality smartphone, and you could probably do pretty much the same thing. Everybody with a rented Lambo, I mean, that's what Simon did. You know, rented. Did he own any? I don't think he even owned any of these things. I mean, here, let's look at this for a second. This is actually pretty funny here. Oh wait, here I found the Tinder Swindler. There he is, right there. Sooner or later, he'll show up. This was a good quote from Ryan too, by the way. Men value love, women love value, and I think if you can keep that in, that's a very easy sentence to remember right there. A little catchphrase that Ryan came up with. That's the difference between idealistic love and opportunistic love, and the way that women approach the concept of love and the way men approach the concept of love. But let's look at this, man. I mean, come on. That remind you of anybody? Anyone? Bueller? Hello? That's pretty good, huh? That's image. What's he wearing, man? I wish John was here so I could like ask him about these shoes. I gotta be those shoes, man. Not that. It's clearly not the red Lamborghini in the back. It's got to be the shoes, man. It's got to be that V-neck sweater. What is that? Is that Gucci? I don't even know what that is. In the documentary they said he had a very expensive habit for expensive clothes, and later on we find out why. And then here he is. I mean, on his own private jet. That's a very popular. And this, by the way, this is a real jet too. This isn't that setup like you were saying before, but I have seen that as well, where it's like this. It's a jet that you can go in and take selfies in, and they charge you money to go in. It's essentially just like a movie set, but that looks like a private jet. And here he is once again. Man, I got to get me some shots on a private jet in a very expensive suit from Jackson Maximus. I would love to get that. I mean, the guy, look at that watch, man. Look at that watch. Look at that. Look at the seat, man. Where have we seen this before? God, it's crazy. It's just driving me insane. Where have I seen this? Oh man, there's that watch again. Look at that. With a cigar, even. That's all right. So I'm done being facetious. My bad. Sorry, I'll shut up. But you get the picture. You get the point, right? It's not hard for this guy to make those, at least those impressions, anyways. Whether or not that's real or not, I don't know if that. I don't know fashion well enough to know if that V-neck sweater is a knockoff or those shoes are whatever the hell those shoes are. Maybe John does. I don't. I know what they sell at Tractor Supply store. Carhartt. There. I know what Carhartt is. No, I'm kidding. It's funny as when I did the Adam Sosnick show, I actually went and got some new clothes at Jackson Maximus, which by the way is a great store. It's at the base of it's in Brickell, not Brickell, Brickell, at the base of the Centric, where I usually stay when I'm out there. And the guy Christian who helped me out with this outfit and the one before it. And I'm just I'm not the expensive clothes guy, but I realize that sometimes I got to get something nice. So I'm trying to update my drip. So here we go. Let me see. I'm just going to run down these things. So I'm going to talk about Simon here first, and then we'll get on to the girls, because I think a lot of people start with the girls first, and they wanted to think that, the red pill is just beating up on these girls. Well, we'll beat up on them later, but we're going to beat up on Simon here for a second. Simon Levine. Okay. So his game, by the way, this is a very good example of how game trumps looks and trumps money, actual money. It looks like he has money. It looks like he has status. The appearance of it is there. But that doesn't work unless he has game behind it, unless there's some congruency behind it, unless he can sell it to women. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the women that he bilked out of, $250,000. It's also the women that love him and want to bang him. It's also the Russian supermodel that was his girlfriend during the rest of that show. So it's not just, he figured something out. He learned how to game this demographic of girls. No. He's also working other girls in different ways as well, because he understands female nature well enough that he can project himself and create his own social proof and create his own pre-selection as a result of that. Does he wear expensive clothes? Yes. Is there a status aspect of it? Yes. But unless he has the game, unless he can pull that off, because we already know that even the expensive clothes and the Lamborghini and the private jet, we all know that that's bullshit. But he's able to sell that still, and that requires game. That requires a knowledge of human nature, men and women, by the way, but in this case, certainly women. But it also has to be what I've said this a million times in the past, it's congruency. And so the congruency is really a linchpin, I think, of good game. And when I say game, by the way, and you'll understand this when I release the book, when I say game, really today, what game is more like it's not PUA. It's not date coaching. I'm not a dating coach. I'm not a PUA, but game in this sense is more like social skills. It's understanding the nature of women and the nature of men and intersexual dynamics, and then putting that into practice. Now, can you use that for evil? Yes, that's exactly what Simon has done, right? You can use your superpowers for good or evil. How do you want to use them? Now, this isn't a judgment call. This is analysis of mechanics. So let's reiterate that here. So what did Simon do? Okay, as a good practitioner of game, he has created a fantasy. He understands the storytelling, and he goes on. He's this instant celebrity. He's an instant celebrity, not unlike the guy that we saw in the video before, and not unlike this guy right here.
Hey,
Yo, man.
Hey,
are you awake now?
Oh man, I gotta stop committing to these early morning shows.
Oh wait, there you go. That's you.
The champ is here!
Yeah, I think it's gonna have to be like I gotta come and make my guest commentary and leave kind of thing.
That's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Just drop whatever you want on us. I got some other stuff that I wanted to get into today as well, but we talked a little bit about this on Rule Zero yesterday, and there's so much to like unpack in all of this. Now, I was getting into what this guy's techniques were and what the guy was like working on. We talked about like the girls themselves and like what it is they're kind of like pre-warmed up buyers, right? They're motivated buyers. So we got that. I think that's pretty much established, and I'll talk about that later on. You have to get into that, but what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk about Simon himself and what it was like. I'm convinced that this is a very good example of how game can trump looks and can trump status as well, actual real money, affluent status. So what from what you know, do you think that this is a good example of a guy who knows game?
I do, and I have a hot take for you. I have a Rollo TOMASSI exclusive.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you about. So, look, the thing is, these girls are you know you haven't like dated girls off the dating apps because it's not, it didn't happen around your time. But girls that use dating apps, you have to understand these girls are exclusively damaged. They're damaged goods, man. Like I always say this, right? Think about how easy it is to catch you or I as a guy. Like, think of how low the standard is for us to accept a woman as a girlfriend is, right? Cook for me, clean for me, help me straighten up the house once in a while. Don't be annoying, and don't cheat on me, right? And these girls on these dating apps can't fulfill these basic human needs as a woman, right? So you got these girls that are broken and upset, and they are like, when guys get on dating apps, we're like, yes, time for some easy pussy. When girls get on dating apps, they actually think like, oh, you know what? Maybe I can find love. Maybe I can find someone worthy. And guys, on the other hand, we're just like laughing at them. Okay. I've got an exclusive story. I have a girl that I dated, right? And in 2019, okay, I'm going to give you a little profile of this girl. So she comes from a home, single mother home, which is rare in Japan, right? And looking for love, looking for daddy's love. She matched with some guy off of a dating app. They get to talking, they get to chatting, sending pictures back and forth, right? She's falling for the guy. Can't meet. I'm so busy. Good morning, honey. Send me a selfie this morning. What do you look like? You look so wonderful, right? Falling for it. He starts mentioning to her about this cryptocurrency that he is involved in and that is really, really lucrative. And he starts sending her screenshots of all the profits he's making. Long story short, he ends up talking her into sending him $50,000 US. She never met the guy once. This is in 2019. She got conned $50,000 $100,000 US from a guy she met off of a dating app that she never met, never had a phone conversation with at all because she wanted to feel loved. Rollo, I'm telling you this. I have seen tons of girls' cell phones. I've seen tons of conversations guys have sent me between two girls talking. The average modern woman is a complete mess, but the root of all their conversations is they all want a man and they all want to be loved. They have a big, huge facade acting like they don't want it, but they want to be loved. So Simon can understand. I don't necessarily think he has game. Well, actually, no, I do think he has a game. He's a con man. He's a manipulator. He understands human psychology, and he understands how to find a weak prey.
Oh,
and
definitely.
that's what these girls were, weak preys. And he got them to finance his lifestyle, and they got caught. And the rug was pulled, and here we go.
Yeah, they all tend to follow like the girls that he gamed, the girls that were part of the Ponzi scheme all fit a certain demographic. If you go into like these are the first two here. This is that's Pernilla on the right, and that's Cecilia on the left. She was the first one. Well, in the show anyway. She actually wasn't the first one. But you got to remember, these are two chicks who are, well, first of all, I believe they're both Norwegian. I think, or else one's from Sweden and one's from Norway. And so you've got these two here. And by the way, this right here is Pernilla as well. So this is like straight off of her Instagram accounts. So it's not like she's out there. And I think that's Cecilia right there as well. So still on Tinder, still doing, like, I thought the most poignant part of that documentary was the end of it, where they said, "Oh, are you still going to be on Tinder now? Have you learned your lesson?" kind of thing. And she's like, "No, I'm still on. I'm still looking for love. I'm still looking for my Beauty and the Beast. I'm still looking for my prince." And in that respect, I completely agree with you. Like they're definitely looking for love. They're definitely looking for something that is an idealized state, an idealized thing. Now, remember, these girls are falling in love with this guy who has Lamborghinis and a jet set lifestyle. And I said this when I was on Fresh and Fit, is like, women don't want to marry a man. They want to marry a lifestyle. Part of that lifestyle is that fantasy of having that guy who's got his shit together, who's a powerful guy, who's got money, who money's no object. And the guy is, I remember when Pernilla was the one who said, "Well, he was a little short for my taste, but I'll still be his friend." Like Pernilla didn't even get with him. She was just friends with him. And he was still able to work her based on the idea that maybe potentially he's going to, mature out of that Playboy lifestyle and want to, settle down with her. Same fantasy she sold to the Dutch girl, Arlene, at the end of that as well. They were like boyfriend and girlfriend for 14, over a year. And so based on the idea that there was going to be some kind of payoff at the end, there's going to be some sort of lifestyle. All I got to do is do what I have to do for this moment in time, and then things will work out and things will be paid off. And I thought, I looked at some of these sites afterwards, and just sort of in the aftermath of all this. And I'm also looking at why this is still so popular, right? Why is this guy? Because the guy's still free and clear. He's still doing his thing. He basically pivoted to this, success grift right now. It's hire me to teach you how to be a great entrepreneur or something like that. And I thought that was kind of an interesting, sidestep now. But what was really interesting to me was the Twitter fallout, or the popularity of this. And now there's a podcast for it. These girls are going on daytime talk shows. They're really getting built up for being the ones who got bilked out of all this money. They have a GoFundMe account right now to the tune of $250,000, or no, it was more than that. Actually, it was $600,000, between the two of them or something like that. And the fact that they would say, "Hey, we want you to, we're crowdsourcing this money to pay for our debts that this guy incurred." And it's well, essentially what you're doing is you're asking mostly women, I would say, to participate in affording this guy's lifestyle, because that's what it was, and they were the ones who made the decision to do that. I thought this was interesting here. So this babe took out $250,000 worth of loans for a boyfriend. What the hell? I don't even understand the thought process behind that. I feel sorry for her because he must have manipulated the heck out of her. Just wow.
I mean, he did. He played her. He got her good, bro.
Of course, of 9 different credit cards. And I mentioned this yesterday on Rule Zero. At what point does the rationality and the reason say, you know what? At what point does a woman ask the question, am I getting like, suckered here? And clearly that point is 9 separate credit cards, to the point right there, as you were saying, if it is the fact that they want to feel loved and they want to live out this fantasy, it is worth 9 separate credit cards before they get to the point where they go, you know what? Maybe this isn't what I think it is.
Miss MLD, one time I had a banking error here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I needed to put up $27,000 for moving into this place, this little penthouse thing I'm living in here.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously we were dating at the time. It had been 4 years at that point, but she cleared out her savings account and gave me the money. She knew I was good for it. But, if I wanted to be Mr. Scumbag Tinder Swindler guy, I could have just rugged her and just disappeared with the money. But girls I don't think women view money the same as men do. I know they don't view money the same way we do. Yeah. Money is just an object for them to get what they want, which is love and security from a man provisioning, and they'll do it. They'll do it to get what they want. But, I'll say that, excuse me. I'll say that these girls, quite frankly, they got that was coming to them. And I think that it's a pretty example. I don't think it's a coincidence that all these chicks are in the epiphany phase.
Yeah.
And at the tail end of okay, am I actually gonna get love? Is this my last chance to get some love? Or am I, am I going to be alone forever? And honestly speaking, I think after they got fame, some of these girls might get saddled up with a faithful beta. I doubt they're going to get out the alpha of their choice, but they probably, some simp is out there watching that shit. Thing I'll save you, baby. I will be the anti-Tinder swindler.
Yeah, so it's that want of uniqueness, saying I'm not like other guys. I'm not like that guy is. In fact, you hear guy. It doesn't even have to be the Tinder swindler. It could be like a woman's sexual past. If she's got 20, and that's conservative, 20 prior lovers before she meets the guy that she settles down with in the epiphany phase. That guy is more than happy to be a part of that woman's life at that stage. And he's more than happy to gaslight himself and rationalize it that she got suckered. She got duped by all those guys in the foam cannon party in Cancun back in spring break when she was in college in her crazy college years. And it was those bad guys, those bad, evil dudes that corrupted my girl. And now I have to pay the price. You're the kind of guy who makes women hate guys. So, therefore they feel like they're that much more self-righteous about themselves, but also that's also their rationale for why they're in the position, why she's an alpha widow, why the war brides dynamic works for her, why there's a lot of different dynamics you can attach to that. But when guys get into the situation where they're the he'll do guy, he's the plan B, they will come up with and they'll do it on their own. They'll come up with any rationale to convince themselves that this is why my girl is damaged, and I have to untangle her mind. Now I'm the one who's responsible for solving her problems for her. But don't worry, I'm a guy. I'm a good, upstanding dude, and I'm gonna stick with you, baby, and don't worry about it. And just because that guy ruined you, that you're still pining for on Facebook or social media, whatever, I'll still stick around and I'll try to make your life better for you.
And what do you think the contrast is? The girls just wanted to go get ran through?
I think at the time, I say get ran through, but I think that at that time, we don't do right now. I mentioned this yesterday on Rule Zero. What we don't do is we don't hold women accountable, and we're not judgmental enough with women. We're not judgmental enough I don't say judgmental, because that's not even really what I'm getting at. What I'm saying is being discerning and having the balls to say, you know what, maybe this dude who's on this plane and driving around in this Lamborghini, maybe you probably shouldn't just pick up and go jump on his jet with his baby mama and fly off to Belgium or Belarus or wherever you went with this guy. Maybe that's not a good idea. No one stepped in and said that. One girl like said, "Oh, are you sure you're going to be safe?" And she's like, you only live once,
Yeah.
And there's no father, there's no brother, there's no strong masculine guy that says, you know what? No, you're not doing that because I don't want you to die. I don't want you to end up in getting, shit on your boobs in Saudi Arabia because you got sold into white slavery or some shit like that. Right. Oh, get on my jet. How do you you're not going to end up in some, foreign country where you're going to be part of a harem or some shit like that? You don't. Yep. How do you know you're not going to be part of human trafficking? You don't. And no one is going to tell you that. They're not going to tell you that anything different, ladies. They're not going to, your girlfriends are going to say, go for it, girl. You only live once. Go on out there. Do they want to get run through? No, but they certainly want the roller coaster. They want to ride the roller coaster and have a good time. And they want to know that everything's going to be safe at the end of it. And the way that we make women safe is we just simply don't say shit. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. Go on out. Have fun. Jump on the jet. You'll be cool. Baby mama, don't worry about it. Kiss him on the fucking cheek on the first date.
Yeah, no, like I said, I think that's gonna be my 2 cents. I gotta go back to bed. I just want to pop in.
No,
I'll better prepare next time. But I was up.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I know it's early there. I shouldn't ask you to come up so early, but that's cool.
I gave it a go, but look, I'll just say that the guy definitely has game. Because game is understanding your prey psychologically, and he got these girls. These girls got bad, bro. Mm-hmm. And they got lucky that Tinder found out about this and this documentary found out about this, and then they can make they can make money off of it now.
Oh, they're gonna make a movie out of it too at this stage. Yeah, hilarious. Now it's not enough to make the documentary. Now they got to make a feature-length film over it. So.
Yeah, you're gonna see. I mean, and it's funny because girls will run down. There's some girl. I used to date this one Chinese girl here, and she was recently putting it on, on her Instagram. Like, I just feel sorry for these girls. I was just like, bruh, these retards had it coming to them, man. All right, man. I'll see you later.
Man. All right, cool.
Peace.
All right. Well, there's John. John chimed in. So now he actually was a special guest, just so you know. Yeah, I wanted to get John's 2 cents into this too, because it's like I think that as far as the game aspect of this and the psychological aspect of it, he can sort of give his 2 cents. Also, be sure to go check out the Rule Zero show we did yesterday, because that was a really good. We detailed a little bit more about the girls themselves, but he is right. When we're talking about the Epiphany phase, all of these women are between the ages of 29 and I think the oldest one was 34. Somewhere around there, and they're all from let's remember, they're all from Scandinavian countries. Now, why is that important? That was a good point. Let me throw this on there real quick. Okay, I've used this before, so bear with me. This is Rolf again. Even in Sweden, where women are not dependent on a man to thrive, men with limited access to monetary resources are less attractive as potential partners. Sexual exchange theory is a controversial theory describing heterosexual partners selection in terms of economic market factors. This paper explores the theory empirically in Sweden, which is neighboring Norway, and that was definitely his demographic, let's just say. One of the most financially equal nations in the world. Experiment 1 tested whether access to resources increases male attractiveness. Experiment 2, a vignette study, measured how justifiable men's disappointment was depending on financial courtship investments in failed courtship attempts, meaning that they got blown out, more or less. The results of the experiment indicated that even in Sweden, where women are not dependent on a man to thrive, men with limited access to monetary resources are less attractive as potential partners. Furthermore, the aggregate result of both experiments indicates that even women with their own resources exclude less resourceful men when looking for an intimate partner. Women do not get overly attracted towards the rich, but less resourceful men are less likely to be regarded as potential partners. Male financial resources are not seen as a bonus, but rather a prerequisite. Thank you. In experiment 2, participants felt that it was not justifiable. No, this is the guy getting blown out experiment. Participants felt that it was not justifiable to be disappointed for men who were cheap in courtship. These results indicate that a sexual exchange theory is useful theory even in a relatively gender equal society. That was Sweden. The neighboring Sweden next to Norway. Well, I mean, I guess kind of close to Holland, right? To the Netherlands. I think that's the third girl was Dutch. So all of these girls had the same thing in common. They are looking for love, as John was saying. Are they broken women, though? I think that's I don't know. I can't really say one way or the other. If that's the case, then all women are kind of at that particular demographic are broken women, because there's probably how many other women that actually got bilked for God knows. I mean, maybe they only got one credit card. Maybe they only gave him like $10,000 out of their savings, and you just never heard from them because they're embarrassed to say anything about it. Why? Remember, these are the girls. Let me throw these out here real quick. So that's Pernilla and that's Cecilia. Okay. And then there is Pernilla on her Instagram, which, she's an older woman and, still trying to leverage the looks department. Then you've got her as well here. And this is actually all of them. The girl in the middle is Arlene. And you'll notice they all kind of fit that same blonde profile, but they're also fit the demographic profile, meaning that they're all right around in the epiphany phase, 29 to 31-ish. And they all are very much the strong, independent woman type, as I was saying before. In fact, I'll answer that question right now about the alpha female. They would all be considered quote unquote alpha females in some respect, right? They had their own business. I know for a fact Arlene had her own like clothing business. So we know that, and probably would refer to themselves or think of themselves very highly in the sense that they deserve a guy who has a private jet, who has a Lamborghini, who has that extravagant lifestyle. And that guy is going to be not the equal, but the one that is above her. And even Cecilia, she mentions in the very outset of the documentary that she really fell in love with the idea of Beauty and the Beast, which I thought was fascinating. But I'll talk more about that when I get to the girls here in a second. But the idea that this guy is something that they deserve is really a quote unquote alpha female. Now, there's no such thing as an alpha female. Let me explain to you why. The alpha female archetype is a male archetype. It is not a female archetype. So what I love is whenever I get thrown shit at me, when people say, oh, he believes he said alpha in an unironic way. Okay, well, that's because I talk about alpha and beta in abstracts. I tried to make that as clear as I possibly could on Patrick Bet David. And people are like, oh, I can't believe you'd say something like that. Click. They don't know. They have no, or they don't want to hear it, first of all, because they don't want to have some sort of frame of reference so they can talk about, more complex ideas, because those ideas make them very uncomfortable. So better to just simply dismiss it as, oh, that's those red pill alpha guys. Okay. Now, when I talk about alpha and beta, when we talk about an alpha male, what's the first thing that comes back is somebody says, oh, you guys think that you're like silverback gorillas or, wolves on the Arctic tundra or lions on the Serengeti or some shit like that. No, that's not what I mean. But we want to dismiss the idea of an alpha male. We just out of hand. But say something about an alpha female and they're like, yes, oh yes, she's definitely an alpha female. Sheryl Sandberg, man, CEO of Facebook, or is she still CEO? Something like that, Mackenzie Bezos, whatever. Alpha female. No, they're just alpha males with boobs and a vagina, bobs and vagine. Essentially, that's what they are. And I made that point, by the way, when I was on Adam Sosnick's show, when I was talking about what the Dr. Rebecca Nicholson. Right? Very much, I think she would probably refer to herself as an alpha female. So, but in the same breath, would dismiss the idea of an alpha male. And really what an alpha female is just that same male archetype. And I said this on that show, and I'll say it again. I said it several times on Fresh and Fit, is that women have made themselves into the men that they want to marry. They are the guy. They're the alpha male that they think is their equal and that the person that they deserve. These chicks right here, all of them very well heeled, make a good chunk of change. I know Pernilla does. I just damn sure know Arlene does. And I'm pretty sure now they're starting some sort of like podcast or something together so that they can sort of, leverage their experience with all of this. But they want to bill themselves as, powerful women. Now, this is what I thought this was funny. I should have put this up when John was here. What struck me with the Tinder Swindler is that an average European can access $250,000 without any collateral. Well, yeah, of course, when you're an alpha female. Yes, of course you can. Especially when that alpha female is like dead set on marrying a guy, the only guy who is above them, or at least perceptually above them. Remember, social proof, pre-selection. That's clearly what Simon had. And so Simon's above them in status. That means that he's just a little bit more than their equal. Now, I want to throw this one in there too, because I have to do this. Now, remember, this was the height differential here. Okay. A man who is 5'6" tall needs to earn an additional $175,000 per year to be desirable as a man who is about 6 feet tall. I've used this stat before. Thank you very much, Rob Henderson, for this. Okay. How tall was Simon? What did we say? 5'7"? So let's just put him in that category right there, right around 5'6", 5'8", right there. A guy who's 5'6" has to make $175,000 and now granted, this is based on studies of like what women find attractive. And as what offsets the fact that he's a short guy, well, more money would offset that. At least that's figurative on paper. Looking at stats like this, looking at at numbers like that. And then what was this from? This is the University of Chicago. The table shows the additional annual income that a man or a woman needs to be successful. A 5'11.5" tall men, or a 5 foot, because this is under 6, a 5'5.5" woman, tall woman. The baseline incomes are $62,500 for men and $42,500 for women. For example, consider a man who is 5'2". In order for him to be as desirable as a woman, to a woman, as a man who is 5'11.5" tall and who earns $62,500 per year, he needs to have an additional income of $269,000. Now, I thought that was okay. Keep that in mind, because how much did she get bilked out of? $250,000. You're paying, by the way, ladies, if you are putting any money into that GoFundMe to help them repay that $250,000, you're paying for that height differential. Please do go ahead. Put the money in there, ladies. Go right ahead. Absolve them of the consequences of their actions. Please do. And this was the last one. I wanted to put this on there. Just watch A Tinder Swindler on Netflix. It blows my mind that the Israeli police let Simon Leviev go after 5 months in jail for good behavior, by the way. And while the women whom he conned off $10 million are still paying off the debts on his behalf. What's going on in Israel? Well, what's going on is they put their name on it and gave it to him. At that point, the money has been loaned to those women. It's in their name. What they do with it at that point is entirely up to the girl. And he knew that. He knew damn well that's the way it worked. That's why he's a free man. And that's why these women are in debt. And that's why that GoFundMe is essentially paying off the height differential for how short the guy was. What did you say here? Let me see this. Did something stupid, traded pictures with someone, and now they are threatening to send an image to all of my family and friends if I don't send money. How should I move forward? I messed up. I am stupid. Well, you're going to have to take the L, my friend. I mean, you could go and try to get them removed, but remember, the internet never forgets. If somebody's going to do that and they're going to send it to your family and friends, I don't know exactly what's in the content of those pictures, Jeff, but it's better to take the L than to live under blackmail. Seriously, just let it go. Let them do what they're going to do. Just, take it on the chin. Maybe try to prepare for it a little bit. I don't know what the impact is going to do, but think ahead and try to figure out what's going to happen as a result of that and try to preempt it. You can do that. And then you can also explain to the people who this would impact that you're being blackmailed. So try that. Other than that, don't put out images that you don't want to put. What I told my daughter back in the day, and I'll tell you, Jeff, too, what I told my daughter back in the day when we were talking about when I got her first cell phone and we were talking about this stuff. I said, never put anything on the internet that you would not want to see in the Jumbotron at Amway Arena, or was Amway then, at Amway Arena in Orlando, right? It's a big, huge, gigantic, multi-screen, huge image. Never put anything online that you would not want to see on the Jumbotron. Keep that in mind, please. You'll save yourself a lot of heartbreak. Do you have an article about too much, too young, too fast? Not directly. Too much, too young, too fast. I guess kind of. I'm trying to think where I would have something like that. Really the sizzle and steak. That there's an essay I have. I'll throw away. I'll dig something up for you. I'll hit you back on that. I know I do. I'm Swedish, by the way. The Swedish women and the story around her is old. That actually happened several years ago. Yeah, it did. But now we're talking about it. We're talking about it now because Netflix decided it was important enough. And by the way, we're going to talk about something else here as well. That's also on Netflix. Let me keep going back up here and see if I can grab. Oh, Giuseppe De Freya. Oh, that's so nice of you to have come back for us. Are we going to talk about taking away women's rights? Hi, Rollo. I wholeheartedly agree with the red pill and the different subject of the red pill, like alpha seed beta need, women's solipsism, and women's emotion before reason. My only contention is the red pill repeal the 19th. Of course you do. Well, it wouldn't be a show unless you.
You're goddamn right.
Unless you came in with that. Right? No one's saying that. No one is saying that. No one realistically is saying that. Irish Alpha Rollo, what do you make of the lady who hustled $12 million from the royal family this week? Really? I didn't know that one. But I got a good one. I got another good one. I got a consolation prize for you here in a minute, Irish. She seemed to really like the attention and took the money from Epstein and others. I sense that there is a lot more to the story. Yeah, you know, I tell you what's also interesting is that for as easy as it was for a lot of these guys to get away with Epstein Island kind of stuff, we'll hold them accountable, but we won't hold them accountable, but we will like throw truckers in jail in Canada. I'll tell you where we're at, like on a global social scale right now. What's this? The name of the movie, Three Dumb Broads. Thanks. All right. Settle down, you animals. And then I put this on my two favorite creators. Thank you very much for that. I meant to read this. Rollo for the mind and MLD for the soul. The heart gets nothing. A-hole lied to me many times. Thanks for the hard work. Yep. Okay. You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm glad you get something out of this. Timius Maximus. Oh, you gave me a sticker. Sorry, I can't post the sticker up on StreamYard. I would if I could. Thanks for the contributions and content, Rollo. Wish Donovan didn't ban me from your Sixes show. I wish I could watch. What? You can still watch, can't you? You can still get the playback anyways. You want to ask me a question, please do. It's all on you, man. All right. Now let's move on a little bit here. Okay, so I took so many damn notes, and I really gotta give you the notes here. So okay, so this was what I had written down for Simon Leviev and his game. Okay, so first off, we've already established that these girls are most definitely follow a demographic. They're 29 to 31. They're in the epiphany phase. They are prime. They're what we call motivated buyers, right? They're primed to want to get with a guy just like this, to the point where they will throw caution to the wind and just go for it, just like Cecilia did. And remember, if you go and you look, by the way, what did you say? I really plan to do. Yes, I am. By the way, in case you're wondering, yes, Trial of Ascension, we might be playing with Ginger. Actually, we might open for Ginger in April, which would be a huge deal for us. And thank you guys for participating in that poll, by the way, but we might open for Ginger in April. However, saying that, we have rearranged if you really must know, we've rearranged the rehearsal studio, and we're going to do live streams from the rehearsal studio, starting with my live stream and then kicking it over to the Trial of Ascension one. However, where did that go? Is this? Oh, here we go. Wealthy women. I wanted to throw these up here too. Wealthier men had weaker preferences for a partner with steady income, whereas wealthier women had a stronger preference for a partner with a steady income. Wealthier women, but not men, had stronger preferences for a partner who makes a lot of money. Men and women with higher incomes will be more selective. Okay, I'm just going to read the highlighted part here. Wealthier men had weaker preferences for a partner with a steady income, whereas wealthier men had a stronger preference for a partner with steady income. Okay, well, I guess I already got to that. This is from Science Direct. These were, again, from gender egalitarian countries, not unlike Sweden, not unlike Norway, not unlike, I guess, Netherlands are very egalitarian, right? Jack Napier. Yeah, they are. Okay, so here we go. What does Simon start with? He creates a fantasy. His first fantasy is he's a good storyteller, and he goes on an Insta date. Okay, Insta date is by the way is a pickup artist technique. It's finding a girl immediately at a club or wherever it is your game. It could be a street hustle, whatever it is, and you're instantly on a date. Hey, come over here. You're my date today. And if you can pull it off and you're congruent enough, and yes, you have to do, I'm not saying that looks don't matter, but I'm saying in that sense, game is where you get what gets you, looks get you through the door. Game is what keeps the girl interested. Okay. An Insta date is like starting it there. It's like this unexpected, spontaneous, like sweep her off her feet date. Okay. And then of course, travel. And whenever you, that used to be part of a really good pickup artist game was like, oh yeah, I'm a well-traveled guy. I like to go to these places. There used to be, and I think it was Mystery that actually came up with this. It was a routine he used to run on girls. And he would say, hey, do you like to go to the mall? And of course, every girl likes to go to the mall, right? So that was started the conversation. He says, what's your favorite store in the mall? And they'll say, oh, I want to go to Ulta or wherever, whatever their favorite store happens to be. And he goes, you know what my favorite store is? My favorite store is the luggage store. Like there's still luggage. There's actually stores that specifically, sell luggage, but be that as it may. Now, he would throw that out there in the luggage store. He says, you know why? Because luggage implies to me, or I associate it with travel and packing up and going on a trip and going to, going off to Fiji or something like that. And so what he would do is he would sort of become this really good storyteller. And that was sort of his like writer's prompt or his storyteller's prompt, like get you in the door kind of thing. Like, oh, when I see luggage, I think of flying to Guam, or wherever it is. It doesn't have to be Guam, but it's the idea of prompting the idea of you and where would we go if we were to travel, right? And the idea, you're planting the seed. Now you don't remember, this is in the ages before there was social media or Instagram. So you kind of have to create that imagery in a woman's head when you're right there in the middle of a quote unquote Insta date. And then now it's like, okay, close your eyes. Where are we going to go? Are we going to go to Tahiti? That kind of stuff. And what do we, this sort of visual image or this guided imagery, I think is what would it be called. And so it's selling this almost fantasy and this association. Really what you're doing is you're selling this emotional connection between the travel excitement and doing, like I mentioned the roller coaster, and I'll read you the quote about the roller coaster here in a minute. But it's that roller coaster. It's that excitement. And if you can't do it and act the actual way, you've got to find some sort of guided imagery. You've got to be a good storyteller. Now, Instagram does that storytelling for women right now. They fill in the blanks themselves. That's where pretty much how Simon was able to do pull off what he did, because women are telling themselves that story. They're like, okay, well, I can imagine myself with this dude. Hell, I mean, this was the thumbnail today, right? That's from her feed. That's Cecilia, by the way. That's from her feed. Here, look, we're married. This is what a goofy married couple does, right? She fills in the blanks. That's from hers, not his. For sure, not his. But it fills in the blanks. It's good storytelling, and travel is a great way to make an emotional connection. Now, number 2, he also creates a sense of urgency. And if you'll notice this, and she mentions this in the very beginning of the documentary, where he says, hey, look, I'm in the UK, I'm in London right now, or wherever he was at the same time. I'm here now, and look, I got to go. I got to get on my plane real soon. But if you want to go on a date right now, I'll meet you here. We'll pick you up, and I'll take you to Prague or wherever he was flying out to. I can't remember. That's the point at which the baby mama she was on there. And so what happens is he creates a sense of urgency, and that's again, this is a pickup artist technique. This is a good game consists of urgency, competition, anxiety, urgency, and anxiety. Okay? This urgency is. It used to be back in the day, we'd say, well, hey, my friends are going, but can I get your number or whatever? It's great talking to you. You're developing this really high kind of lifting this girl up in this sort of like she's in the fantasy and she's in the emotional state with you. And then you're like, you cut it. And not like bad cut it, but you're like, hey, my friends are leaving. I'm with them right now. So I'm going to, hey, can I get your number? I'll talk to you later, blah, blah, blah. Leave them wanting more. That's a stage rule right there. That's musicians or actors or whatever always leave them wanting more. And that's essentially what that does. So that sense of building that sense of urgency. And the reason why it works so well for women, creating that sense of urgency, is two reasons. Okay. The first one is hypergamy can't afford to miss out on an opportunity. It can't afford to, if there's a golden opportunity for an alpha male, a guy who definitively answers the hypergamous doubt question, which is he the best I can do? Yes, he is. I better jump like hell. I better get on that plane. She's the hell yes girl. She becomes the ride or die girl instantly. Get on that plane. Go to Prague with this guy. I don't know, you've never seen him before, whatever. No one's going to tell her differently. As I said before, the judgmentalism side of things really kind of prevents that. But the impetus, the impulse to do that is this, especially when a woman is in the epiphany phase, 29 to 31 years old. She's way more motivated to do something like that. Seemingly more spontaneous because she's more motivated to do that. Now, as we were saying before, when we look at, let me look at this really quick. I got the stats. This is really good. More women are childless by the 30th birthday. And by the way, I've also got stats up on my Instagram right now about what is it? Oh, age of first marriage all throughout Europe right now. I talked about United States, but I did not know that European marriage rates, rate of age of first marriage were so high. In some cases, like 34 and 35 years old, depending on the country. I really should go dig up the one that is that's for Norway. But anyways, single and childless by the 30th birthday has risen astronomically in the past, certainly the past 5 years or so, maybe even past 10 years. So there's definitely a motivation. My biological clock is ticking. I've spent all this time in my hoe phase, my party years, and now I've got to stick the landing. Now I've got to get a guy before the lights come on at the club. And Simon Leviev has a personal, he's got a personal bodyguard, and he's got a Lamborghini, and he's got a private jet, and he's going to fly me instantly out to Prague. This seems like a dream come true. This seems like Beauty and the Beast, right? This seems like a Disney fairy tale. You're damn right. You're goddamn right. You're goddamn right. She's going to go and jump at that. So when we talk about, when I'm talking about like how hypergamy can't afford to miss out on a golden opportunity, it's very similar to what Rich Cooper says. When Rich is saying, women don't care about a man's struggles. They wait at the finish line and they bang the winners. Now, not all women can do that. They have to find a good bet or bet on the right horse or the guy with potential most of the time. But when that winner shows up in your Tinder feed, you're goddamn right. You're gonna jump at that, and that's why that's really the basis, I think, of why women are very susceptible to FOMO, which is fear of missing out. And if you know anything about like funnel marketing, or if anything about the hustle economy, you know damn well what I'm talking about when it comes to FOMO, fear of missing out. You want to know how to market anything to women? Trigger fear of missing out, missing the deal, missing the guy, missing the golden fucking opportunity to get with an idealized, optimized situation. Anything that has FOMO in it, and I don't care whether you're buying a car, you're buying a house, I don't care what it is. Oh, this is a great deal. God forbid you're on Craigslist, right? This is a great deal, but we got to get this now. No, there'll be another one in a half an hour, but it doesn't matter because it triggers that FOMO. Now, I'm not saying that's, every chick when it comes to like seeing a guy, right? But if the guy definitively answers the hypergamous doubt, you're goddamn right, it's going to be FOMO. And that's where it comes from. There's this one, and why is that? Because women ultimately want long-term security. They've only got between 18 and 28 to lock down the ideal guy, because that's in their sexual market value peak years, which I have pegged at like about 23 years old. And then going down from there. When a woman gets to be 29, she's definitely motivated to get with what looks like the best possible option. And like I said, when a guy like Simon shows up in the Tinder feed, that's most definitely the best possible option. And you know what? He knows that. That's why he's got good game. He understands that his marks, his target women, they all know that too. You want to sell anything to women. Here's the two things that you do. Thank you very much for that, Femisapien. Yes. Okay. You want to sell two things. You want two ways to sell to women. The easiest way. First one is FOMO, fear of missing out. Number two is you're going to want to sell security to those women, of course, but you're going to want to sell things that are going to play to a woman's, the idea that women's sexual market value and their power and their agency that is derived from that their sexuality is evergreen. So that the girl who's like just like Pernilla and the rest of these girls, that the idea is that if they do whatever, would buy your product, or they do whatever, they follow your instructions or whatever else, and you're selling them the ideal, that their sexual market value and thus their sexual agency is evergreen. Sell that and use FOMO to sell that, and you will be a billionaire as a result of that. You want to know why the cosmetic industry is this like multi-gajillion dollar global juggernaut? That's why. Fear of missing out, and oh damn, I missed out, but it doesn't matter because if I use Mary Kay or a Clinique, I don't know, whatever it is that you use, ladies, then that will at least in some way give me a better shot at making sure that my sexuality and the agency that's derived from that is evergreen, and I can keep going. Now, if you represent that as a guy, that's how you get a guy like Simon. Did he use it for evil, unethically? Yes, he did. But we're still looking at the function. We're still looking at the mechanics behind all of this. Okay. God damn it. No, I don't have it. You know what? I said this before, Robert. It's with Amazon right now. I have to wait until the approval process. It's not me. Out of my hands. Okay. As soon as I give you an approximate date, I will give you the approximate date. I know. And by the way, a good portion of what I'm talking about today, Robert, is going to be in the book. Okay. Now, the other part about FOMO, fear of missing out, is that it intensifies that much more during the epiphany phase. I don't think I've ever made that clear. Like that's part of like the essays I've written about the epiphany phase. Fear of missing out intensifies the older a woman gets. The closer a woman gets towards like say 34, 35, certainly by 40, but certainly right around my biological clock is ticking, right around 29 to 31 right there. FOMO is as high and as important and as urgent and anxiety producing as it will ever be, because it's like, when a woman gets to the point where it's like, oh, well, she's starting to realize that she's hit the wall. And I don't mean hit the wall like physically, but hit the wall up here. Once she realizes I'm not as sexually competitive as I was I am at 33 as I was at 23. That's when that urgency, that becomes something else. But at 29, where she says, you know what? I think I can still do it. The FOMO becomes very, very important for women. And that's exactly what he sells. He sells fear of missing out. Hey, my plane is taking off in another like 2 hours. If you can get down to this hotel at this time, I'll take you to Prague and we'll have an Insta date. Oh, yeah. Yes, let's go. And her girlfriends are like, are you sure this is safe? Doesn't matter. I'm 29, fear of missing out. And this guy answers the hypergamous doubt. Well, you met him on Tinder. Something doesn't smell right. I don't care. I'm going. I'm jumping off this cliff. All right, so that's the other one. And then the next one is this. I thought this was fascinating too, is the baby mama that is on the plane for, was it Cecilia? Now, this was the Insta date as well. Now, what does the baby mama represent like in all of this? And by the way, I wanted to throw this out there because I've got somebody picked up on this. Where was that? Baby mama. Here it is. Okay. This is on a website called Tyler. I'll just read it to you real quick. Ever since the Tinder Swindler dropped on Netflix, viewers have been fascinated by the story of Simon Leviev, an Israeli man who con man who used Tinder to trick women out of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay. Leviev would impress women he matched with on Tinder with extravagant dinners and private jets, claiming to be a billionaire's son before tricking them into giving him thousands of dollars. Okay. Fans have a lot of opinions about Simon and the women he's conned. And while some have been quick to judge victims, there's that word again, with many claiming that they wouldn't have fallen in love with Leviev's charms, others have defended them. Okay, of course they have. In the documentary, we first meet Cecile Felhoy, I hope I'm saying it right, who was in a relationship with Hayut, who is actually Leviev, okay, and gave him around $200,000 in savings and bank loans. Cecilia recalled how her first date with Simon, he took her on a private jet, but rather oddly, along with his team, his security guy, was the mother of his child and the toddler they shared. Cecilia explained that alone in a taxi with the mother, the woman had said only good things about Leviev. Viewers thought it was strange, but were gobsmacked when they found out later in the film that the mother was actually one of the women who had testified against Leviev shortly before he served a 2-year sentence for conning 3 women in 2015. That's why he was wanted, by the way, in Israel in the first place. And he had to sort of he was a flight risk, right? He was a wanted guy, right? And while viewers branded the mother evil for not warning Cecile, others defended her, pointing out that the pair share a child. One person wrote on Reddit, it's likely that the baby's mother was a legit victim that ended up getting pregnant by him right before his incarceration. So she forgave him, plus teamed up with him because she now was tied to him. Maybe, and this is another one, maybe, quote unquote, maybe he promised a certain amount for her baby, and if she participated, given the problem, ran her dry too. I think she was in a desperate situation by that point and had a kid with a guy that had scammed her. Another added, I'm not saying this is right. I just think that when women when it's a parent protecting a child, it's a lot more nuanced than it might be otherwise nuanced. People do a whole lot of shit that they wouldn't ordinarily do for the sake of protecting their kids. Others were simply desperate to know more about her story. With another writing, was that former victim really the mother of his child? If so, why did she change sides? While a fourth added, I just want to know the story of the prior victim of the Tinder Swindler, so who then becomes his accomplice, and also is really is that really his child? So people just simply didn't want to believe the fact that this woman was, and you never see her face. You only see the back of her in the video itself. So I want to throw that out there too, because that to me is a compliance test right there. For her to it's one thing if the guy is a multi-bazillionaire and he says, "Hey, come on, Cecilia, get on my jet today, and we'll fly off to Prague or wherever we're going." And then the baby mama shows up and she's still cool with it. In fact, the fact she's on the plane and she's kissing, giving him pecks on the cheek on the date, the private plane date with baby mama in the back, riding in the Rolls Royce or the taxi or wherever it was. And she's saying nothing but nice things. Now we find out later on that the reason why he's wanted in Israel is because he had bilked these girls, including the baby mama, out of X amount of dollars in 2015. And he was picked up by Interpol in Greece, I think later on. They brought him back. He served out 5 months of a 15-month sentence. But yet we come to find out that the baby mama was actually one of the original women who he bilked in 2015 and still is hanging out with him. So there's a couple of things that go along with that. That is the war brides dynamic right there. That is the Stockholm syndrome. Well, I gotta stick with my captor because he's my best source of security. That's number one. Number two is that when Cecilia gets on there, it doesn't faze her whatsoever. She still falls in love with him, still believes the bullshit, still takes out 9 separate credit cards for this guy later on after this whole story unfolds. Still, that never enters into her mind that maybe this doesn't smell right because of what's going on here. And then of course you later on find out that she's actually one of the first women he scammed, he conned. But we don't talk about that, and they don't get into it at all in the documentary. And I think the reason for that is because it's probably very unflattering to women's nature. That's why you don't hear anything about that. They just kind of well, it's a baby mama. Okay, well, let's keep going, right? They want to just sort of brush past that as quick as they can. And some people, picked up on that, and at least on Reddit, and they start talking about it. That didn't faze me because I know exactly what's going on. It's war brides is what it is. It's this guy is my best shot. I know he's a scammer. I know he's a scumbag, but he's the best shot at long-term security for myself and for our baby. Does he need me to do that? Yes, I'll do that. You say, oh, it's victim, is it the victim falls in love with the captor? Yeah, pretty much. And women are far more apt to do that than men are because they have more at stake. They're the vulnerable sex. I've said that on dozens of different podcasts. Go look up anything I've written about war brides. I've been talking about war brides since 2008 for a very, very long time. Here we have war brides, but more importantly, it's a shit test, or it's a compliance test for him. If Cecilia is cool with the baby mama being on the date, flying to Prague on a private jet of a man she just met on Tinder not even a few hours ago, then she's probably ride or die at that point. She's bought into the narrative. And at that point, he's probably going, okay, got another one. Let's move on, Peter. let's make this work. Okay. So that's the compliance test. But also remember that compliance test is more easily passed if that woman has FOMO and is motivated to believe the bullshit to the point where she's taking out 9 different cards. So that's number 5. Now, the next one is this. Next on the list, dangerous man. Definitely a dangerous guy, right? We find out later on that he has enemies, right? Was it he's got a bodyguard. So any guy that has his own personal bodyguard that follows him around is not unlike the guy in New York City who had a bodyguard, by the way, that big black dude that was walking around with him, and the cameraman and his entourage. One of those guys, or maybe 2 of those guys, have to be his personal security to make sure that nobody touches the very important, the VIP. If you've got a bodyguard, that right there, like people always say, you need a wingman. No, you need a bodyguard. You want to be really successful at good game, whatever. You need to be hanging around with the guy who's got your back. Maybe he's your wingman, okay. But if he looks like he's your private security, you're important enough to have somebody to come in and kick ass for you. That's definitely pre-selection. That's definitely social proof, if not pre-selection. So, a good wingman is one thing. Another thing is have your own private security, because that implies that you're a dangerous guy. That implies that you have enemies, which is exactly what he establishes from the very beginning of the show. So if you have enemies, you have to be important enough for somebody to want to hurt you, which means you have to be able to hurt someone back. Even if that's false, even if that's just the facade and the appearance and the perception that you're putting out there, it doesn't matter, because it's all about perception at that point. It certainly was for Cecilia at that time. It certainly was for Pernilla too. All right, Pernilla. So if you have a bodyguard, clearly you have enemies that you need to have a bodyguard to defend you from. So you must have some sort of important enough for somebody to want to hurt you. And that's massive social proof. So that's not so dangerous men. Dangerous men also are the let me see if I can go dig this up real quick, because I put this out there. It's on the Warrior Princess essay real quick. I'm going to read you really quickly. And I did not, this is a quote from Dalrock, and I've used it in a few different essays, and it's just so good. God damn it. Losing Dalrock was like, well, he's not dead, but losing him as a writer was a real hit, I think, to the manosphere. So here it is. This is Dalrock, and I wrote this back in 2016, and I think this is a quote from a 2014 thing he put. All right, so this is let's just say this is the red pill parable of the roller coaster. Okay, these women don't just want to build a better beta; they want to tame the alpha. Now, does that sound like Beauty and the Beast? Tame the wild alpha. In fact, I think the former is just the way they are trying to approach the latter. They want to take an inherently unsafe activity and make it safe. They want to submit to a man without having to submit. They want a man who can tame their feral self. They want him to trip their danger signals. Even better if he is a stranger from a strange land. God, and this is back in 2016, right? Well, really 2014. They want this all to happen without giving up their freedom. They want to play this out in the context of serial monogamy, so they can feel loved while also claiming their promiscuity is moral. They want to lose control to a string of strangers who have all the hallmarks of very dangerous men, and they want a promise that this will always end well. They want to know that this will be safe without it losing the excitement of it feeling unsafe. Here's the money shot. They are telling men to build a sort of serial monogamy amusement park where they can ride the roller coaster and experience the fear of falling or crashing, while knowing that just behind the scenes, grown-ups are actually in charge and are responsible for them safely feeling unsafe. That's the roller coaster. One more thing. As I mentioned above, they don't want to be hemmed in. So instead of building an actual amusement park, they want roller coasters to spring up randomly in the same exact circumstances where the real danger they mimic would appear. They want to be driving their car on the freeway one instance and the next experience the fear of careening out of control the next. They want to impulsively jump off the edge of the Grand Canyon and have a parachute appear and deploy at the last minute. All they ask is your guarantee that all of this will be safe. Now, that's the parable of the roller coaster. And that's really essentially what Simon has tapped into. Now, was there any actual threat to Pernilla or Cecilia's life when they came up with the bullshit about like, oh, we got attacked and now we need you to help us out with a credit card. I'm out of money. I can't use it. I need cash because they're tracing my cards. I can't make a purchase on an ATM because they'll follow me to that and they'll try to kill me. Can you please take out some money and I will pay you back and just get me the cash as quick as possible. And as soon as we get through this crisis period, then we'll be all fine. Right? That's the roller coaster. That's the roller coaster right there. And in fact, it's so much so that Cecilia decided that she wanted to do it 9 times. And so I don't know who the rest of these girls are. Like you're saying, it's a lot more than just them, but that's the roller coaster. That's the idea of, and in this case, it might even seem like actual danger. Like she was saying that she didn't know if they should like turn off the lights in the house because they don't know that the headlights coming down the street are actually going to be like gunmen to come and kill them. So when you think of it in those terms, it's almost like living out a movie. And I'm going to tell you what that really falls out to is, let me see where I put that. It's essentially becomes a sort of live action role playing. So when you have a dangerous man, or you have the belief that you're with a dangerous guy, and he's somebody who is important enough to have enemies and important enough to have a bodyguard, then there has to be at least the suspicion that maybe this guy is in some way a bad boy. I've talked about hybristophilia in the past, and if you don't know what hybristophilia is, go look it up. Hybristophilia is the tendency, or they want to say the APA would like you to think that it's some sort of like personality disorder, but it happens so often in women that it's not simply a personality disorder. It is a function of women's mating strategy. And what hybristophilia is it's the tendency for women to want to fall in love with convicted criminals or dangerous men. So when you see somebody like Anders Breivik, who's in jail, right? Or you see a guy who's like the Boston Marathon bomber, or convicted criminals who have violent offenses, who are convicted. They did it. They killed people. Those guys tend to have the highest amount of like teenage girl fan clubs when they're in prison. In fact, they've had to, in some states, I'm not really sure, it might have been California, but in some states, they've actually had to separate female prison guards from the male population because it happened so often that those prison guards would fall in love with the prisoners. They would try to break them out. Or you'll find, the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez. I remember that too. That was back in the 80s. I remember when that happened because I was in LA when it was going on. But Richard Ramirez had a fan club. He had women who were like carving like pentagrams into their hands because they loved him that much. They really wanted to get with that guy. Even what Charles Manson, right? Charlie Manson, Jeffrey Dahmer, all of these guys. What's the guy? There's another guy that's in jail right now for killing his wife and his 3 kids or something like that. And he is getting like love letters and requests for conjugal visits. And I want to marry this guy in prison. Hybristophilia is the name that we give to that tendency, or that phenomenon, let's just psychological phenomenon of women wanting to fall in love with convicted criminals, like in some cases rapists, in some cases guys who are murder one, charged with murder one. And it doesn't just apply to them. There's also, you can also sort of like can redirect that for like women who like fall in love with like ISIS warlords and fly across the country to be with them and change their religion because they fall in love with the bad boy that much. Now, is that, of course, what are people going to say? They're just damaged women and they're looking for love and everything. Well, yeah, okay. You might be able to convince me in certain cases that might be the case, but it only happens with women. You don't see men going, oh, I'm going to create a teenage fan club for this girl who's in, Orange is the New Black. No, you don't see that happen with guys. You see that happen with women. Why is that? Well, because they want the roller coaster. He's in jail. He can't actually hurt me, but he's a dangerous guy. He has the capacity to kill other dudes. Clearly, he's convicted of it. So, in our ancestral past, the highest form of demonstrating higher value for a guy is to kill your rival, to kill the rival. That's how you knew the guy could kick ass and protect you and save you from the saber-toothed tiger. So yeah, of course you want to bang that guy because that looks like strong genes. That looks like the best option that you can get. Barring that, maybe the guy who makes a lot of money and has the potential to be a very dangerous guy to the point where he has to have his own private security, that you're just adding more fuel to that fire, the dangerous man fire. And it's not about, and I understand, I've seen in the chat here, people saying, well, Jordan Peterson said that, you need to be a good man, you need to have the capacity to be a beast and an animal and to have the capacity for violence. Yeah, well, that only makes any bit of difference if you're willing to demonstrate that. Because no one knows, and then I'm going to wax philosophical here because we're talking about Dr. Peterson once again. No one knows how much of a badass you are if you don't exercise it, if you don't demonstrate it, if you don't get in the MMA or you don't get in the octagon, right? So I don't care how big and bad you are. It looks like cowardice if you don't use it at some point. If you have, one of the reasons why women get off on a guy who is forceful and dominant is because it implies protection. It implies that, and hopefully parental investment in them. But that's really what it boils down to. And that does, you could be, you can be Bruce Lee, but if you don't demonstrate that you're fucking Bruce Lee at some point, it just sounds like cowardice. You back down from a fight. Well, I know he could kick this guy's ass and beat him within an inch of his life, but how do you know that if you've never seen him actually do something like that? And that's sort of the paradox of this dangerous man bullshit. Okay. If you're a dangerous man, you need to be able to prove that. That's why women fall in love with their very dangerous men. That's why they seek out very dangerous men. That's why they create teenage girl fan clubs for guys who are serial shooters or serial murderers in prison. So because they have a demonstrated capacity for it. So again, it's like you can take that however you want to, but unless you can demonstrate, not explicate, it looks like cowardice. You could say, well, I know I'm a black belt in this, and I've got, I'm special forces, and I've killed people in the past, and blah blah blah. But I could kill you, but I'm not going to because I'm a good man. It means shit. It looks like cowardice, unless you actually have some sort of demonstrated ability to do it, and that's why women find those guys attractive. Evil is sexy. All right, so that's that. So that's the roller coaster side of things. Now, there's also, by the way, surprise investment. And what surprise investment is there's a point where Cecilia is in Norway. She's in Oslo, Norway. She flies back to her mom's place in Norway, or was it Oslo, or I forget where she was. But anyways, she goes and she's typing and she hasn't seen Simon in a long time. She's, I wish you were here. Blah blah blah. Well, guess what? I'm here. He flies all the way from wherever he was. He makes it seem like it. He's actually there for another reason, but it sounds like he made this special trip just to be out with her. It doesn't matter. Perception is everything. And it seemed to her like she was so special that he would get on a plane and come out to see her because she's lonely. Perfect example of surprise investment. Surprise investment is if you ever want to deeply convert a woman, go out of your way to surprise her with some kind of something like surprise trip or show up wherever, you're unavoidably detained, but she's so important that you're going to put off your responsibilities to get with her. That's what I'm talking about. Now, most guys will take that to the extreme and be simps as a result of that. Don't do that. It's only a surprise investment is only matters if you've already established that you are you've got your shit together and you're working on other stuff. If it seems like a sacrifice to you, if it's too easily had, it's too cheaply held. If you're always doing stuff like that, hey, showing up at her doorstep or after work, here's some roses, a surprise investment, meaningless, utterly meaningless. Unless you're the guy who is well above her in station, you're the alpha. You're predominantly alpha, and you are unavoidably detained because you're on your mission all the time, and you take. And this has to happen. It's almost like giving a gift, right? It has to happen sporadically. It has to happen very rarely. But when it does, it makes an emotional association to that locks that girl in. You want to know why she took out 9 different cards? Surprise investment. All right. And then last but not least is the love bombing. Okay. Now, the reason why I'm bringing up love bombing, and I will get to your super share in just a second, but I got to throw this on there. This is what love bombing looks like to popular media. That's a love bomb right there. This was the logo for Tinder Swindler. This is it. A wedding ring on a fishing hook. That's the bait, ladies. That's bait for you. Press X or press love. Maybe John was right. They're just looking for love. That is a love bomb. A love bomb is committing to love and marriage and this fantasy of long-term commitment and long-term security right out the gate. Most guys can't do this. Only very high-value men can have the capacity to do something like this. You have to be verified, confirmed that you're so high value that your declarations of love, or your, I want to say declarations even, but the implication, you are implying some sort of exclusivity. You're implying like, hey, I could see myself with you in the long term. Women take that as what's called a love bomb. I talked about this, I think back in October, where women want to say, oh, men are so evil and they'll use all this stuff against you and love bomb. No, only high value men can do. The apex alphas, the guys at the top of the heap, not the 80%ers that are sexually invisible to you. They can't love bomb you because you don't give a rat's ass what their love is. You don't care what their declarations are, ladies. You don't care what the a man's idealism. You don't care about that. You only care about that if it's Simon Leviev and he's like a, son of a Israeli diamond tycoon. Then it's love bombing. Love bombs don't happen from the barista at Starbucks. They don't happen from the sandwich artist at Subway. They happen from the tycoon's son, the diamond tycoon's son, who's a very dangerous man. And that seems like a good, once I have this money and this cash, then, and I get away from my enemies, then we'll live happily ever after. I can see how that might be a very enticing love bomb. But I think I heard, was it Justin Waller or Sterling Cooper mentioned what's called future forecasting. It's very similar to like creating that scenario, creating that story for women, but it's future forecasting, meaning like, oh, I'm going to make you one of my sister wives, right? Or I'm going to make you one of my, I could see us being together in the future kind of thing. It's future forecasting. It's like, so we're going through this right now and I'm attracted to you and I want to get with you. But this is just a formality before we get to the good part, which is I'm going to ask you to marry me. And so especially for women, when it comes to FOMO, when it comes to fear of missing out, and it comes to a guy who is a very confirmed high value guy, then yeah, love bomb, you could probably get away with that. Average guys, it's simping. A love bomb from a guy who is the 80% beta guy, OnlyFans is filled with guys who are love bombers and women want to have nothing to do with them. They don't call it that. They call that guy being a nice guy. Right? The guy in the video I showed earlier today, the guy who was on the role-playing game with that girl who's just like giving him all kinds of grief. That guy, if he said, "Oh, but I love you," get the fuck out of here. Get out of here with that love bomb. Get out of here with that love shit. You don't measure up. That's a pre-rejection. Love bomb them. You don't worry about that from beta males. They only worry about that from the guys that they actually want to get with. Well, I thought he loved me. I thought he wanted to have babies with me. Then suddenly it's this horrible manipulative tactic. In some cases, it might just be that girl just making it up as she goes along. Maybe he didn't even imply that, but that's where she wants to be, especially at 29, 30, 31 years old. Sure. All right. Let me see. So this is great. So in a love bomb, though, the guy has to be alpha to begin with, right? He has to be a guy who is confirmed like Simon Leviev, right? But what happens then with the love bomb is there's a rapid emotional investment it seems like that guy is like saying, oh, I could see us having babies and living, I don't know, on the Mediterranean somewhere, in the south of France. And so what happens is you go from that rapid emotional investment to FOMO. And then you've got also layer on top of that, the epiphany phase. So she's a motivated buyer. And then on top of that, it's dream fulfillment. As we were saying before, it creates the fantasy. So a love bomb has to have it kind of has all of those elements. That's so at least as far as I can understand what women mean by a love bomb, right? All right, so that's that. Okay, now here's the best part of all this. Simon Leviev did his groundwork. He did his homework on all of this beforehand. So he's already created stories that he's planted on the internet so that if he's ever looked up as Simon Leviev, it comes up as, yeah, he's the son of Leon or Lennon Leviev or something like that. He looked up a guy who's an actual diamond guy, right? And says, oh, I'm the son. And then you look up Leviev and you don't find him, but you find his dad, or quote unquote dad. He knew what he was doing to the point where he was photoshopping himself into images with his dad somewhere else, so that when they would say, oh, it must be legit, I found his picture with his dad on Instagram. Like, so he knew what he was doing. He knew that people would be checking on his bullshit. What happens if I'm not saying he was a great, brilliant chess player, and maybe he didn't play 7 moves ahead, but he might have played 3 or 4 moves ahead. And that was part of it, and laying that groundwork so that if it was ever questioned, he could cover his tracks. He was always changing his name. He had fake passports. And so he knew what he was doing, but he laid the groundwork so that if it was ever questioned, even not just by the girls, but like their friends, because as I said before, you're dating their friends. And again, it might be easy to create the perception of social proof, fame, whatever, and that the cues of high status are very easily fakeable online, but it's just as easy to go and see if they're legit or not, and you have to do the groundwork. So if you're going to be full of shit and you say, hey, I own this Lamborghini, it helps if you have some faked receipt somewhere that says Rollo TOMASSI, 1 Lamborghini, $600,000, whatever it is. I don't know what they cost, right? Here it is. That's right. And you put it somewhere, just like tuck it away somewhere, and they go, does this guy really have a Lamborghini? And you go, oh, here's the receipt for it. If you plant that somewhere that's easily findable, it seems more legit, right? Now, is that ethical? No, it's not ethical, but he is doing his groundwork. So he did know what the fuck he was doing, and that's important, because when I get to the downfall of this guy, you'll see exactly why that was important here. That, as I said before, it creates plausible deniability is what it does as well. So there's the social media aspect. He was good enough in Photoshop. And I when I saw the image of him with his dad, I go, that's bullshit. Because I've used Photoshop since like 1994. I know a good Photoshop hack and a bad Photoshop hack, and that was a bad hack. But it was enough to fool women who were already primed to believe him in the first place. Didn't have to be perfect. It just had to be good enough. So they go, oh, look, he is. Okay, good enough. I'm sold. That's all that had to happen. Same thing with the guy who was walking around New York. People could have easily gone later on and says, this guy really full of shit, but it doesn't matter because you're caught up in the moment and it seems good enough, legit enough at that moment that you want to participate in the fantasy and the bullshit that's going on. Again, never been easier in the 21st century. All right, so let's get to the downfall here real quick. His downfall, first and foremost, Simon Leviev, pathological. Very much a pathological personality. When you hear him talking, when you hear the phone calls and the voice memos and stuff that the girls save in that documentary, he goes from manic to depressive. Manic to like, oh, I'm going to crash you. I will crash you. You must give me the money. Give me the money now. Upon your car. Like that, like he deserves it. And then like afterwards, like, it's okay, baby. Sorry, I blew up, but we're going to be all right. It's all good. Perfect example of a pathological personality. Remember what I said before when I was describing a certain person and his pathological personality? You don't see that personality until you tell them no. And that's exactly what happened with Simon Leviev. It's all fun and games, and it's all the roller coaster, and it's all the south of France and Great Greece. I want to say Mykonos, Greece. It's all luxury and fun and private jets and beach parties and everything else until you say, no, I can't believe you want to do. Where's my money? I need my money now. Yeah, that's when you know. And it's a believable liar, a believable pathological liar who has perfected a system that is easy to perfect in the social media age. But again, does not mean he doesn't have a pathological personality. He does. Blows up and then comes back. Oh, it's okay. Well, okay, baby. No, I can't give you the money. I can't believe you won't give me the money. Oh, but baby, I really need the money. I'm in a hostel somewhere here in Belarus, wherever he was. And that was it. The girl, Arlene. Arlene is there, and she's like, well, we could sell your clothes. Okay, I guess I need the money. You can have this Gucci, off my Gucci and my Louis Vuitton and everything else. She did keep the sunglasses too, by the way. So pathological personality. So that's number one. Number two is this. He had no exit strategy. If you have this kind of money, you have this kind of pull, and you're this successful at doing this, if you weren't a pathological personality, you might want to say, well, I can't do this forever. So I got to have an exit strategy. How am I going to put money away in case the shit hits the fan? That's why, the guy then this is number two, is he had no foresight. No exit plan, no foresight. Living for the moment. Pathological people do exactly that. The party's never going to end. And if somebody tells me it's going to end, then I'm going to blow up in their face because it ruins my pathological world. That's the thing about pathological liars, is they create the fantasy of this reality distortion bubble that around them, that they expect everyone in their orbit to agree with. And all it takes is one person in that orbit to say, no, I'm not going to take out another credit card for you, you son of a bitch, right? That's when it explodes. That's when that reality is thrust in their face. The real world is thrust in their face and they lose their shit. That's how a pathological personality works. And that's exactly what happened with this guy. Keep that in mind, man. It's not just Simon Leviev. There's other guys and women, by the way, that have pathological personalities. I'm going to show you one here in just a moment. So no exit strategy, no foresight. No. At what point do you go, you know what? I'm getting away with this now, but it's only going to be a matter of time before I get caught and things catch up with me. Maybe I should squirrel away some money in a Swiss bank account or something, or put it into crypto, or put it somewhere where I can have it and I have access to it in case I lose all my shit. Why would you not do that? Well, the reason why is because you're pathological and you live in this reality that you think you deserve the shit that you got. And all you do is just repeat the cycle over and over again. And you manufacture your own social proof. Well, that social proof can be very self-affirming to a pathological personality. That's why you don't have an exit strategy. That's why you don't have any foresight. I'm a rational male, right? I'm a reasonable person. It seems to me that if I had some sort of grift like that, I would want to squirrel away money for a rainy day. So when the shit happens, that I've got something to go on at that point. But that's not what he thought of because he's whacked. Right? All right, then these last two. Okay, the guy is by the way, the guy is still hustling. The guy decided that, even in spite of having a documentary made out of him, and by the way, he did an interview for TMZ, and I don't know if it's coming out when it's supposed to come out, but they do a documentary. They're already talking about doing a feature-length film on this guy. And you know what? That only feeds his pathological personality. He thinks he's cool because of it. He thinks that's why he's famous. He's supposed to be famous. It's like there's not even any afterthought to it. I thought this was pretty funny too here. Eileen was by far the Beyonce of the group here, real MVP, only because she was the one who kind of exacted a little bit of revenge by getting him to sell off his clothing collection, because he was very, very wrapped up in his clothing collection. And then, of course, if you listen to how he talks about like how he's not going to get his money and she's like selling it off, and he finally realizes that she's kind of like swindled the swindler. That's what they said at the end. Then he's realizing this and he starts to lose his shit, as would any pathological personality. Okay. But that doesn't faze him. He gets in, he goes to jail for 5 months, good behavior, he's out. Women lose their minds. And there's a lot more to this. Let me grab this other one here. This is really good. These are some of the things that have happened since then. 23 intriguing Tinder swindler, real life and behind the scenes facts. Number 1, Simon Leviev pretended to be a medical worker. Simon pretended to be a paramedic in order to receive an early dose of the COVID-19 vaccine in December 2020. The man decided to pose as a medical worker so that he could receive a vaccine, even though he didn't meet the requirements to receive one. At that time, only those who were medical workers, those over the age of 60 and at-risk groups were vaccinated. So, game again. It's not just game. It's not just for banging chicks. Simon Leviev also is known as a fraudster has been known as a fraudster in Israel since 2011. He's been known as a fraudster and a thief in Israel since 2011. Despite being charged multiple times, he didn't show up in court and went to Europe instead. He was arrested in 2019 for 15 months, sentenced for only 15 months, and he went there for only 5 months. Leviev, that's what's supposed to be his dad, filed a complaint against him. We already got to that. Pernilla Sojholm still lives with her mom. And please go fund her so you can pay off all of her bad decisions here. One of the victims portrayed in the document, Pernilla Sojholm, lives with her mom. Her wish to buy herself an apartment was crushed when she lent the money to Simon Leviev, who she thought was her friend. This made her bankrupt, and only time will tell when she will be able to get back on her feet. Well, I think it's probably going to be pretty soon because they're probably going to license this for millions of bucks. Simon Leviev's sentence was reduced to 5 months because of good behavior. I already talked about that. Number 6, Simon Leviev's victims are still paying off their debts. We know that. Number 7, it was believed that Simon's father was involved in his scams as well. I did not know that. Now, Cecilia Felhoy encourages victims of such crimes to speak up about their experience. Of course she does, because that's how she's going to end up becoming an advocate of some sort and make a good chunk of change off of this. Number 9, all 3 victims started a fundraiser on GoFundMe so that you too can participate in in absolving them of their bad decisions. Number 10, Simon Leviev got banned from Tinder. I should certainly hope so. Number 11, Simon Leviev lied about upcoming Netflix biopic. I guess they were supposed to focus on him as well. Eileen Charlotte, that girl who actually busted him, the Dutch girl, decided to keep one of Simon's items that were given to her. That was his famous sunglasses. Leviev, by the way, is still on Instagram. That's another one. Where's the one that I wanted to get on? Anyways, there's a lot of other stuff that goes on behind the scenes here. Pernilla Sojholm and Cecilia Felioy became close friends. Of course, so close that they're sitting here by poolside. Do they? You know what? Let me throw this on here. I have to show you this picture. I have to show you this one. Let's see. Where to go? Oh, 23. There it is. Do these women look like they are struggling? They became really close friends afterwards. Do they look like they're struggling to you? I don't know. You tell me, man. I'm not wherever they are. After the incident, Simon Leviev, Pernilla and Cecilia remained close friends, even shared on social media some moments from their vacation together in 2021. Well, they're still going on vacation, even though they still owe $250,000 and they want you to pay for it. Good. Simon Leviev continued dating a model whom he later broke up with. I think that was the Russian one. Simon Leviev started his fraudulent behavior when he was 20 years old. So he game recognizes game. He was figuring this stuff out at that young. Pretended to be a pilot. Leviev's bodyguard Peter is a free man. Of course he is. All he was just doing what he was told. 36-year-old doctor dated Simon's friend Avi. Anyways, all right, that's good enough. You guys can see that. I thought those were interesting. And the reason why I brought those up is because in the aftermath of all of this, now we're expected to enjoy the indignation. And that's, I wanted to hit on that really quickly here before I get into my final topic of the day, is that the reason why I titled this Tinder Swindler is Swindling Women is because now it wasn't enough that Simon Leviev suckered all of these women. It's you have to pay for it, ladies. I'm talking to you today, ladies. Here we're gonna get serious now, ladies. You're getting suckered. You are getting suckered. If you are putting money into this GoFundMe, you're getting suckered. You are essentially paying, like I said before, you're paying off the deficit of him being 5'6", according to this. You're paying off that deficit, that 5'6" deficit right there. The 264,000. What do you say here? The bottom of that. Oh, $269,000 is what you're trying to make up. But these ladies took and did this on their own. The reason why he's a free man and these women are still in debt is because they did this of their own volition. Because no one said, Oh, I think this is bullshit. I think you really should be careful with this. I think this guy who's trying to get you to, this independently wealthy guy from Uganda wants you to hold his money in this email right here. That scam. Remember that? Well, we think that's a horrible thing, but now we're going to expect just, to crowdsource the paying off, absolving these women of the decisions that they made to do this in the first place. How are you supposed to be? First of all, you can't be judgmental. And then second of all, I can't also say, you know what? You're absolving these women of their bad decisions. And I've said this before. I will say this one more time here because this is a really good example of it. I don't like, what was the guy's name? Oh, Giuseppe De Fraia comes in here. Every time he comes in here, it's like, you shouldn't want them to repeal the 19th. I don't want them to repeal the 19th. I don't think that's tenable. I think that's stupid. That's like this freaking pipe dream from MGTOWs and Black Pill for repeal the 19th. Good luck. Please show me your plan. Tell me what happens. How do we do that? It doesn't happen. And I'm not going to say that it should. And I never have said that it should, because I think women should be able to make their own decisions. What I have a problem with is being held accountable for the consequences of those decisions, expecting men to cover that. Imagine this. Imagine you see this hot chick at the foam cannon party or what? Oh, here she is. You meet this semi good looking girl. She says, "Oh, I'm 33. I've got my own fashion line or whatever." You meet this girl right here on the beach somewhere in Ibiza or whatever, Ibiza, right? Or you meet these two girls at a club some night and you fall in love with the one on the right, who knows, right? And she says, "Hey, I'm Pernilla. How are you?" And you start a relationship with that person. You come to find out that she owes $250,000 to her creditors because she got involved with a guy named Simon Leviev. Are you still? Well, don't worry, babe. We'll get through this together. Is that going to be you? Are you going to be the one that's going to say, "You know what? That's all right"? Because that's pretty much what guys do these days when they get involved with a woman who has like a lot of debt. Usually that debt is from like school, from taking out student loans and or credit cards to, afford their lifestyle while they are at, the University of Arizona or wherever the party school is. I don't know where it is now. You're essentially funding the decisions she made when she met the hot guy in the foam cannon party in Cancun on spring break, because you might not be responsible entirely for the debt that she has. But once you get married, it's not that it becomes, in some cases, in some states, I think it becomes community debt, but it doesn't matter because your finances are still impacted by the decision she made when she was 22 while she was in college for the credit card bill that she used to buy lingerie for the guy that she's still pining for from back in her, crazy party years. Right? Is that going to be you? Now, that's the extreme case. I realize that. I'm emphasizing it with an illustration here. Are all women like that? No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that women hold a whole lot more debt than men do by the time they get to be 30 years old if they've gone through, because they're statistically speaking, women take out more student loans than men do. I can show you the 2/3 more than men do. So when we look at student debt and you say, "Oh, well, a woman says, I'm looking for a guy who's my equal." Well, by that, do you mean a guy who has the same amount of debt that you have? Because that's really something that guys need to take in consideration when they are looking for a long-term partner. Hell, even Tom Likas has been talking about that since like the late 90s. Let me see let me do a credit check on you, right? What's your credit at? 700? Okay, we can get married. Oh no, you've got a Pell Grant? No, we're not getting married. Women hold the majority of student debt, at least in the United States. I don't know what it is over in the UK, but I'm pretty sure it's probably about the same. They hold the majority because they're the ones who are enrolling more than men are. But yet when we get married, that becomes my community. It becomes, well, technically for the length of the marriage anyways, it becomes community debt, community responsibility. I got to pay off for, one way or another, it's got to get paid off. So is that something you want to sign up for? I don't think enough guys really think about those things. So like, as I said before, if you meet this hot girl, semi-hot girl at Cancun or whatever, and she says, "Oh yeah, I got bilked out of $100,000 because of this guy and I'm still on the hook for it. And I couldn't get enough people to do my GoFundMe to absolve me of that debt. Let's get married." No, you might want to think twice about that. Let's see, what'd you say here? Bowflex or Bowrex. In the event of a woman losing a child or husband, does fertility and age affect the time to re-enter the dating marketplace? Losing a child or a husband. I think those will be two different things. Also, do hormones and brain chemistry play a role in this, or is it mainly opportunism? It's usually opportunism, but only because women, I think, on some root level, understand that they're the vulnerable sex and they need security longer than men do. Like men, I don't think security at like long-term security as big a deal for men that it will be for women. Simply because they are the incubators of the next generation. Now you say, well, that's just evolutionary psychology. It's not just that. It predisposes women to thinking in terms of this guy's a good choice for my long-term security, and that feeds into the fantasy of lifestyle, of marrying that lifestyle. So if a woman loses a child or loses a husband, I would say for the child, that's gonna fuck them up for a long time. For a husband, depends on the guy. Was the guy Pat Tillman? Was the guy like a confirmed alpha badass? And she's going to pine, and she's literally an alpha widow, then you might watch out. But if the guy was predominantly a beta, did the guy kill himself? What was the conditions for that? In those instances, she'll bring a date to the funeral. So it just depends on what the circumstances are. Hard to answer that one, but like at least definitively. But that's the way I would answer it. Let's keep going. See if I can catch up a little bit here, because I think I've been staying on top of these pretty well. You guys have been pretty active in the chat while I've been yammering on here. I do have one more thing I want to show you guys before I'll take questions later on, but let's keep going. There we are. What you got? Talk about colossal end around the hypergamic filter. Yes. Let's keep going down a little bit. Oh, there you are. Oops, sorry. Where'd you put that? Oh, hey, it's Joe. Smiling Joe. I love my grandson. Well, good for you. Yeah, you get one.
You're goddamn
You
right.
get one of those. That was pretty good. Rollo, when's the good? Okay, I already told you when that's coming out. And let's go. Keep going. Oh, I got to the bottom. Okay. What'd you say, Sam? Oh, Sam says this. The rational male. Hola, Rollo Tomassi. The rational male is the only world-class expert on international intersexual dynamics. The only person on earth that's connected all of these dots. Men underestimate his exponential brilliance. Why? Yes. Check out the big brain on Rollo. Boy, you wouldn't think so if you saw me in the rehearsal studio yesterday. We're acting like idiots in there yesterday. Yes, wait, here you go.
Guilty.
That's me.
Guilty.
Yes, I am guilty. I'm horribly guilty. Now, a couple last little things here. As I said before, Simon Leviev looks an awful lot like some other people, you know. And I'm not going to say who, but let's look at these guys here. Oh, wow. God, that's too much. That's too close. That is too much right there. What else did I have for you? Oh, okay. So there's that. Okay. Lastly here, I meant to put this as part of his downfall. As I was saying before, he's still hustling. The guy decided that instead of hustling women, he's going to hustle other people. And now he's got an entrepreneur thing going on. I'm sure he's probably got some class. I'm sure he's got something on Gumroad pretty soon too. And he can teach you how to be a successful businessman, and is literally trying to pivot over to the positivity porn, success porn hustle of a lot of other people. And I think that is kind of ironic. You want to talk about unironic or ironic? That's ironic. So now, last but not least, I think that he's going to have to be careful, Simon, if you're watching this, you're going to have to be careful of your collaborators, the people who had your back, like Peter or the other guys that were sort of in on this, maybe even the baby mama, because the worst thing you have to worry about in situations like this is when you make a living off of screwing people and you have other people on the inside, it's the people on the inside that will get you. Your collaborators will sell you out. And I think that if he actually ultimately sees jail time or he goes down in any substantial way, then it's probably going to be because the people on the inside sold him out. And you need to be careful with that. I wanted to make sure that I put that in there, because when the guy is switching over or pivoting over to a positivity hustle, then what he's trying to do essentially is establish himself just like the guy who was in New York with the photo crew, with the video crew. Now he's got to try to do something different. And you'll see what happens with a lot of these guys. And I'm not saying this is particular to Simon, but what will happen is the guys will try to pivot from one hustle to another hustle. And to do so, they have to reinstitute that same kind of social proof, that like they have to rely on the same dynamic of suckering people, like en masse, right? Suckering everyone in Times Square, walking down the street at nighttime in New York, being able to do that and being able to do it successively, consistently, to the point where it's like, okay, I'm no longer Simon Leviev. I'm Joe Blow, and I've got my positivity hustle. Here's my private plane. Here's my Lambo, and I'm going to teach you how to be a success, right? And the way that he's going to do that, and he probably will do that because he's a pathological, he believes it himself. Pathological liars, pathological personalities believe their own bullshit. They believe the world that they create for themselves, and they expect others to believe and feed into that too. And when enough people start doing that, and it's like, what is the madness of crowds, or the logic of crowds? You know, when enough people say, "Oh yeah, I saw that guy. I saw Simon Leviev in the latest Spider-Man movie." When that's happening, that's when you get a successful pivot. People go enough. They always say, you know, what is it? The internet never forgets, but people have very short attention spans. And their mentality is still the same. The same people in 2012 who were saying, yeah, I saw that guy. I love his music. You know, he's walking down the street and he's complete nobody, and instantly generates fame, instantly generates status just by having a bodyguard and a camera crew and an entourage of like maybe 2 or 3 people. He's walking around, people making a big deal out of him, and they want to shake his hand and they want to kiss him and they want to take pictures with him. That is a human universal, my friends. And again, women love it because it feeds into the pre-selection side of things, but it also feeds into into social proof. That's why guys get behind that, because they want a little bit of that juice. They want to pretend like they're familiar with the guy, because if they're familiar, it might be that the girls who are like loving on him, who can't get with him, might get with you. At least that's on theory, on paper. That's how it looks. So that's what a real good pathological lying hustler has to do to reinvent himself. He's got to go back to New York City with an entourage and create a new bullshit persona that people will believe in. And after a while, and it's never been easier on a global scale on social media to do so. Okay. That's that. Now we come to the this is the cherry on the top of this episode. So we've heard about the Tinder Swindler. We've heard about Simon Leviev. We've heard about his victims. They're on every talk show. They've got their own podcast. They're psychologists, and they're helping women out who are victims of fraud and everything else too. But you know who you haven't heard about? You probably haven't heard about this broad right here. Most likely aren't even familiar. Like, who the hell is this chick? This chick, her name is Anna Sorokin. And she also has a Netflix story, or next Netflix kind of docudrama that is on Netflix right now. And it's called Inventing Anna. If you, ladies, if you really felt really compelled and motivated and you got this indignation rush out of this Tinder Swindler, and you're a feminist and you believe in gender parity and gender equality, you better go watch Inventing Anna right now. I expect you to do so. Do you even know who Anna Sorokin is? No, you don't, because I'm about to show you who she is. And again, forget the chick from Ozark who's in it, not Jennifer Gardner. I think it's Julia Gardner. She plays Ruth in Ozark, but she's actually the lead role in this. Actually, a really good series. But this is a true story. So let's look at this really quickly here. You guys have no idea who Anna Sorokin is, but I bet you know who the hell Simon Leviev is. I bet you do. Yeah, we don't hear about Anna. You don't hear about it. Well, did you not hear me? I thought you guys heard me. Yeah, I'm just reading the text on the screen right there. Sorry. Who goes to Nebraska? I'll tell you who goes to Nebraska. There's actually a reason. I'll explain to you why she went to Nebraska. She went there because there was some sort of economic summit or something like that. She wanted to meet Warren Buffett. She literally flew out there because she wanted to meet Warren Buffett. And there is rumors. I don't know if this is true or not. Am I muffled? Oh, over the video. I was sorry about that. I was just reading the text on the video. You guys probably got most of that. But she went to Nebraska because she wanted to meet Warren Buffett. I'm not sure that she did, but I have heard rumors. I read this thing anyways about her when I was reading her background, that she had met Bill Gates maybe while she was there. I'm not sure, but essentially she was like fake it till you make it girl. And in some ways she was very much like our good friend Simon Leviev. She was creating and generating her own social proof. She was a nobody. She had no money. In fact, her father was a German truck driver and her mom was like I want to say she was a school teacher or something. I don't know. She doesn't come from money, but she said, screw it. I'm going to go do it myself. She worked for this magazine called Purple for a while and then decided that instead of going back to Germany, she wanted to stay there, and she got into the elite social circles of New York right there. And essentially what happens is, she got arrested, by the way. She's still in jail. She's serving time in jail. And she actually got picked up by ICE, ICE, I'll tell you what's funny is like people hate on ICE, but when they see that and they go, oh, well, shit, I guess they're doing their job. But she did pretty much the same thing, bullshitted her way through, and people took her seriously to the point where she was making a lot of money, like maybe not $10 million, but certainly close to, pulling that kind of stuff. And she's a girl. We don't hear about that. She's got her, granted, there is a Netflix special about her as well. But which one do you think is going to be which whole thing is going to be the one that shows up on the daytime talk shows? Now, granted, she also did an interview with 60 Minutes. I saw that one as well. But we don't talk about that. We would much rather talk about Simon Leviev because that's indignation generating. That is enough to get women to get their blood boiling. And granted, Anna Sorokin or whatever her name is, I'm sure that it's not as satisfying, I think, to the female psyche to see her go to jail. She pretty much almost the same story, really. She built guys like very rich men out of money, got them to pay for her, got credit cards in her name as a result of that. Go look up Anna Sorokin, after we're done here, and you'll see what I'm talking about. There's definitely parallels between her and Simon, but Simon is the one that triggers the chemical rush from indignation, right? So it's not okay. So here, you saw, her story is months ago. I'm not saying it's male hate. I'm just saying what's more interesting, Anna or this? They both have Netflix stories on right now. What's more interesting? Which one is going to have a podcast devoted to it? Which one is going to have more legs to it in the future? It's simply because it's not male hate or male nothing, anything at all with that. It's just the fact is that we find what was going on with Simon Leviev a lot more intriguing than we do with what's going on with Anna Sorokin. Because of the hypergamous filter, because women want to discover a cheater. There is this very self-satisfying ideal, I think, amongst, it might be, I think it's probably a psychological mechanism, right? To find out whether or not this guy, Simon in this case, is really who he says he is. That's why this is incredible. That's why when this girl's taking out like 9 different credit cards for this guy, every woman's like, I can't believe he didn't, or she would do something like that. How is she not figuring this out on her own? Right? How does she not know? I don't necessarily think it's to take down men, but okay. It's not so much that. It's just what's more interesting. In a gynocentric social order, yes, it's very much more interesting. When I talk about indignation, I've talked about this in the past. Right? The reason why women love shit like Simon Leviev and the reason why we're talking about Tinder Swindler is because it goes to the core of women's desire to know whether a guy is for real or he's not. As I said before, like the social proof side of things, women can't rely just on their female intuition to see if a guy is authentic or not. They have to have other girlfriends to tell them that he's for real or he's not for real. And we used to live in a time prior to the sexual revolution where men had an altruistic, tribal altruism, kin altruistic reason for wanting to guard their female, tribe members or family members. So dad could be the one who would step in and say, this guy is a scam artist. You're not going to, Prague on his private jet because he's a scammer. There's nobody that's going to step in now because women are independent. So clearly they have some magical, mystical, female intuition that provides them with some sort of discernment to know a fraud from a not fraud. Well, clearly not if the stakes are high enough, if the FOMO is high enough, if she's a motivated buyer. But we live in a time right now where we can't make those judgments. We can't step in and say, no guy at that time would have been able to go, Cecilia, Pernilla, no, just don't. No, I'm gonna mate guard you, right? I'm gonna family guard you, whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna step in here and say no. No, because men don't have that authority. And matter of fact, we call them misogynist sons of bitches, if they try to do that. Oh, you're a misogynist. Well, why would you say that? Well, I'm trying to defend you against this guy. He clearly is a scam artist. No, you're against my happiness. I'm an independent woman. I'll make my own decisions. Okay, great. You do. You fall flat on your face. You owe $250,000. And now you want to crowdsource everyone on planet Earth to absolve you of the decisions and the consequences of your actions that I would have been happy to have prevented you from had I the authority to do it. Had I had if I could have risked being judgmental and said, you know what, maybe this guy's full of shit. Maybe you shouldn't be doing that. In fact, it's gotten to the point right now, I think on a global scale where men they don't even bother. Like, I can't tell her what to do. She's her own person. She's an independent woman. She's an alpha female, right? She can make her decisions. She has some magical, mystical ability to sniff out fakes. Clearly not. But when she can't do that and there's a price to pay for it, she's not one that's expected to pay for it. I am. You are. Anybody else on planet Earth is expected, to pay for, help us pay the bills because he's still out a free man. No. Oh, I took out a lot of student loans, having a good time in Cancun on spring break when I was in college. But hey, I need a guy who makes 58% more than I do. No. You want to know why marriage rates are low? It's like simple math. It's not because guys are like, oh, we're going to be on marriage strike. No, you're not. That's not. It's just impractical. It's just, the numbers don't add up. The game Simon says makes a lot of sense now. Yes, it does. So as far as like the Anna Sorokin comparison right there, like we'll watch Simon Leviev when we get out. Like women love that. They eat that stuff up. They love the indignation that comes. It's a chemical rush from that. And the reason for that, and the reason why they love that is because he got found out. And when a woman, there's nothing that, this is from the book, my first book, there's nothing that is more self-satisfying to a woman than to think that she's figured out a guy based on her intuition, based on her feminine intuition, based on this mystical, magical the feminine mystique, right? To think that she figured him out. And just the act of, or the process, I should say, of figuring that guy out is just so satisfying for women. Oh, is he really who he says he is? Every like To Catch a Killer, or To Catch This, or is he really? What was the one? Was it Life? There was I think it was a series or it was a movie on certainly like Love, Life and Love or something like that. If you go and you look at like the 50 Shades of Grey, it's figuring the guy out. It's the mystery. I figured out this guy, the mystery of Christian Grey or whatever his name is. It's the mystery. It's the unraveling. It's the intrigue that goes along with trying to figure out if this guy is really an alpha male, if he's really the son of a diamond tycoon, or if he's really a scam artist. And if that woman finds out that he's a scam artist and she dodges a bullet, there's nothing that is more, because what it does is it reaffirms the fact that her intuition is actually right. Oh, thank goodness. My inborn femaleness was a filter against his pernicious, duplicitous lies. Except they weren't. And that's not how it ends. And now that because you weren't able to do that, like it's not as satisfying when you owe $250,000 at the end of the movie, but you do still expect people to pay it off for you. And that's what, in the gynocentric social order, that's the way it should be. Yes. Joe Biden, you should give us, we need a debt consolidation, or we need absolution of our student debts. We'll vote for you if you will do that. That was part of his platform. And don't worry, ladies. We know that you hold 2/3 of student debt to the tune of what, like $929 billion. I think it's $1.7 trillion total for outstanding student debt right now in the United States. But of that, 2/3 of it belongs to women because they're the ones enrolling. So yeah, of course they won. They're motivated buyers. They're motivated voters. Oh, Smiling Joe said that he was going to absolve us of our student debt. We took out all of these loans to get useless degrees, and we can't get men to marry us right now to help us out with that because, it's simply impractical. And those guys aren't our equals anyways, because they're not going to school in the same number as we are. Let's vote for Joe so we can get out from under this debt. That's essentially what it comes down to. And that's the facts right there. Those are the numbers. That's the equation right there. Numbers, nuts and bolts. Women will hate me for that, for saying stuff like that, for like even connecting those dots or asking those questions. But those are the questions that like keep me up at fucking night. So, and you know what? Same thing, same parallel here with Pernilla and Cecilia and Arlene and God knows who else. Help us pay our debts. It's like asking Joe Biden to absolve you of the worldwide global Joe Biden to absolve you of your debts. Oh, we made bad decisions. Please absolve us of the consequences. Fuck you. No guy has to do. No, if a guy was to do that, no one would say, get the fuck out of here. Bootstraps, man. Get up and do it yourself. Get out from under it yourself. Hustle. That's what we would say. But instead, we're like, oh, it's okay. Poor little ladies. And they'll get it too. They probably will. I should keep a track of that and find out when they are actually absolved of all of that. But it's the indignation factor. And that's the difference between Simon Leviev and Anna Sorokin. There's like women don't care about finding out whether or not she's the real deal or she's not. It's just as much a mystery. Oh, is she really a socialite? Is she really who she says she is? Well, kind of fascinating. It's in a sense like, it's like a whodunit, like a murder mystery or something like that. But it's not as satisfying as going, is he really who he says he is? He said he loved me. He's the son of a diamond tycoon with enemies and a personal bodyguard and a private jet and a Lamborghini. Does he love me? Is he for real or is he not? That is way more satisfying than, I wonder if Anna Sorokin is really who she says she is, or she's just a bitch. That's the difference. That's why we're talking about one and not the other. Technological chaos. Can an argument be made that Simon is more interesting than Anna because of the burden of performance for male to break the social cues of women is way higher than women who just have inherent value in the in sexuality to manipulate? Well, I mean, like this, let's analyze that situation here. She's not a looker. And if you saw the 60 Minutes thing, she's really not. She's kind of like pudgy. She had a personal trainer, by the way, too. And I'm not, I have to look, I hate to be like salacious like that, but I have to look at it in those terms. It's not so much like her inherent sexual, value and sexuality. She didn't fuck that many guys. I mean, she had one guy who was like a TED talking, like he was talking about like who her boyfriend was. Her boyfriend was a guy who was this entrepreneur who wanted to find ways to download your dreams or some shit like that. And she suckered a lot of people into investing in his company too. But that's, to my knowledge, that was the only guy that she was really sexually active with. She wasn't much of a looker, to be honest with you, but she was a good bullshit artist. Good enough that people were, they believe she got into that. She got social proof in New York from socialites. So well enough, she talked the gig. She faked it till she made it, or she didn't make it in this case. So is it a burden of performance? No, I don't think it's so much that. I think it's the fact that women's innate want to find a cheater, to find the guy. Because remember, in women's ancestral past, she had to be discerning. She had to figure out, is this guy the real deal? Is he really an alpha male? Is he really who he says he is? Because if I have sex with him, it means I could get pregnant. And if I get pregnant and he's the wrong guy, I'm fucked. Literally. He's going to fuck me and I'm going to have a baby and I don't want to have his baby, or God forbid you should get, forced copulation with this guy. taking away my sexual, as a woman, taking away my sexual choice because he duped me, he tricked me. That is, by the way, that is women's existential fear, to have sexual selection, to have the hypergamous mating strategy process removed from their control. And for right up until the sexual revolution, right up until hormonal birth control, that's the way it was. It was a compromise between a guy having a shit together and a woman saying, okay, this is the guy I want to get with. And it was like they were looking at long-term security, and to ostensibly to get to sex, you had to marry that woman as a result. And there was that compromise and that trade-off there. I will take care of you, love, honor, commit, forsaking all others, all the marriage vows, everything that goes along with that. It was a compromise between a man's mating strategy and a woman's mating strategy. And that's all out the window, thrown out the window since 1965. And now it's, I'm an independent woman. I know exactly what I'm doing. Don't judge me. There's the reason why we start talking about non-judgmentalism. It's no coincidence that all started right around the mid 70s. Bear that in mind, because when we look at it's not so much the burden of performance, which is still there, by the way. Like for men, burden of performance is old order thinking, and it's still new order thinking too. Like people still want to, women would like to have old order benefits with new order privileges and authorities. And one of those old order benefits is men have to do what we tell them to do. They still have to stick to that old order, 20th century. To be a real man, you got to do X, Y, and Z. Right? Well, we don't give them any authority, but we give women all kinds of authority, and we give them all kinds of like leeway to the point where we'll absolve them of their consequences of their actions. But in a woman's, in our evolutionary past, if a woman made a bad decision with that guy, even if it was a good decision, she could die, or he could get killed in battle, or just like die from disease. Even a good decision was still a risk for a woman back in the day, prior to medicine and where we were at. And so there had to be some sort of assurances of security. And usually that came in the form of like family. So if that woman married into like that particular tribe or that particular family or whatever it was, even if the guy died, she had some reassurances that mom and dad and grandparents and everything were still going to take care of her, or maybe her brother will marry her. That used to be a tradition as well. So there was still some kin affiliation or kin altruism that went on in families and larger scaled tribes. So that was very, very important that women develop a psychological mechanism to sniff out cheaters, to fakes and phonies. And they used to have like social proof, or social proof was a mechanism for that, because they couldn't rely on their own senses, so they had to take third-party opinions of is this guy a good bet for my future? I know he's not a winner now, he's not at the finish line, but he looks like he will be, and he comes from a good family, and my girlfriends and my mom and everybody else says marry him. So that's what happens, right? And that was at least somewhat of an old school, older way of ensuring long-term security. Fast forward to 21st century. Now it's all on her. It's all on a woman. She's the one who has to decide whether or not Simon Leviev is full of shit or he's not. And no one can tell her any different. And it's all based on perception. And it's very easy to trick women. Very easy. It's easy for Anna Sorokin to trick guys too. But now it's become even more easy for men who have good game, who do lay the groundwork, who know about love bombs, who know about urgency, who know about FOMO, who are dangerous men, or at least have the perception of being dangerous men, and build up that fantasy and build up that persona. You think that a woman who has no support from a family or kin altruism, or her girlfriends would jump at the chance to do the same thing? You're an independent alpha female. You should have, you're invulnerable. You're superwoman. And then what happens is when that woman is tricked, then they're victims. I brought this up on Fresh and Fit when I did my solo interview. And that was, I said that, feminism is duplicitous, and it's a lie. It's a paradox, because it simultaneously teaches women that they are superheroes. They can do anything. They're bulletproof. They're super women. But at the same time, it teaches them that they're victims on top of that. So what is it? Are you Superwoman? Are you Ms. Marvel or Captain Marvel? Or are you a victim? And as it suits them, that's the role that they will take on. These women, if you would have asked them prior to meeting Simon Leviev, you said, hey, do you think somebody could put one over on you? I even asked that, by the way. God damn it. I asked that of was it Victoria Larson? I hadn't even seen Tinder Swindler at that point. I asked it of Victoria Larson and Dr. Rebecca Nicholson on that show. I said, do you think, like, because they were talking about game, no guy could ever game me. We're talking about a guy who did exactly that with some very quote unquote alpha females in this Netflix series or this Netflix show called Tinder Swindler. Ladies, do you think that a guy could do that? No, they would never get it over on me until they do. Clearly they can. It is generally predictable that a guy with good game and is congruent in his personas and can create an image or can create a perception of being one thing when he's actually another thing. Clearly it happens. Clearly it can happen. Women don't want to believe that a guy could do an end run around their hypergamous filter. And again, it's never been easier than in the social media age. But that's first thing. Like if you would have asked Cecilia and Pernilla, they would have said the same thing that Victoria Larson did. Oh no, they would never. I have a good bullshit detector. I'll sniff them out. No, they wouldn't. Not if the freaking gravy smelled good. Not if the steak was sizzling, man. You wouldn't. And a guy who's skilled would take you to the cleaners. He would make you sign off on 9 fucking credit cards. That's what he would do. And until that time, they're super women. Once you've signed off on the 9th credit card and it turns out to be bullshit, now you're a victim. Oh my God, I can't believe it. We got to help this girl out. Let's start a GoFundMe. What? What? No. You ladies, I don't care if you have the vote. I don't care if you have power. I don't care if you make your own decisions and you're a brave alpha female in the world. All I ask is own your fucking shit, man. Own your bad decisions. Own the fact that you didn't want to listen to anybody who would have told you anything different. Where was dad? Where was brother? Where was Cecilia's mom? Or, well, her mom was there, but where was her dad? Where was her brother? Where was the guys that she knew that said, this guy smells like an ass hat? I wouldn't get with that guy. And even if those guys existed, they certainly didn't merit being in the documentary as being like voices of dissent. And even if they were, like, we didn't even hear about it, so we don't know. And that's how superfluous men are when it comes to these things. Oh, well, they're victims now because he was a bad man and they got taken advantage of. Well, we don't know this, but what if there had been a guy that said, you know what? Maybe you don't want to do that, girl. I'm Pernilla's dad. And I'm like, I would do the same. If it happened to my daughter, Rollo Tomassi's daughter, she's like, she met this guy, Simon Leviev. Oh, I'm going to jump on his jet. I would say, get the fuck out of here. You are not going there. I would go there, physically hold her from doing something like that. And I would be an asshole for doing it. I would be a son of a bitch. I would be a misogynistic, repressing, oppressive father, judgmental father for calling bullshit that guy. In some cases, only guys can really see because we're the bullshitters. And I have a vested interest in my kin, like in my genetic legacy and my daughter. Yes. You're goddamn right I would do that. But you know what? I would have to risk being called a dickhead or an oppressive son of a bitch for that. And that's why guys don't do that. And that, ladies, is why you end up being the victim later on. You don't want to listen to shit. You want to hear shit. Ladies, your best interest in mind. Oh, I got to you. Not only am I the dad that these guys never had, I am the dad these ladies never had. Right, femme sapien? Oh, it gets better, by the way. There's an astrology thing on there too. Sam Whiskey, this is what happens when Charlie is not there to guide the angels. Yes. Wow, what a great analogy. Charlie's angels. Thank you, Sam Whiskey. You know what you get? That was so good. That was so good, Mike Sant. Women over 25 have a much higher risk of gestational diabetes. Really? Read Gestational Diabetes, Cleveland Clinic. Well, they also women at about 29 years old have a much lower incidence of being able to conceive too. Ladies, if you have a biological clock, it was started ticking when you were about 22, not when you're 29 or 30 or 31 or whatever. And who cares? Because you're having babies after 30 anyway. So any wonder why, we have birth defects and stuff like that. What did you say? Daddy Joe. Yeah. Let's see. You don't have to give me a super chat. I'll still put your thing up there. Now we get to the fun part of the show. Anyways, go look up Anna Sorokin, man. I was actually pleasantly surprised to see that right at the same time I was planning to do this show. That's pretty good. All women in gender studies have been swindled. Yes, they have. Let's see. What did you say? Speaking of Tinder, what's up with the needed pronouns? Yeah. On top of that, you're going to get swindled, but only if you have the proper pronouns. Is that a thing? Maybe it is a thing. If you tell a lie big enough and long enough, keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. I think that's Joseph Goebbels. Yes. Gerbils. Yeah, but sometimes you don't even have to do that. You might have had to do that in the 1930s in Germany, but now you don't even have to repeat it all that often. You just have to show up with your entourage, a guy that looks like a bodyguard, a cameraman, and a handler, and walk down through Times Square in 2012, 10 years ago, and you can do pretty much the same thing. How crazy if Simon Leviev gave you a shout out. I hope he does. Simon, if you're watching this, if you want to come on this show, I will be happy to talk to you. I will be happy to bring you on here. And I will, you know what? This ain't TMZ, but I will definitely give you a fair shake. I would love to find out the mechanics. I'm not saying you did a good, that's not an endorsement, but I would very much like to pick this guy's brain. Love to. I mean, this dude is like a high tier. Yes, he is this was funny. Where is it? Oh, these are some other ones. These were the tweets. Oh gosh. You want me to show you these? These are funny. I might as well show you these while I'm here. I wanted to show you one in particular. Here, let me put this up. These are the 17 best Tinder Swindler tweets and memes. I don't know, so they're the best, but let's see. Can you see that? Yes, you can. Okay. Boy, this is great. Okay, this is number 3. The other ones were kind of stupid. Okay, we know her. Okay. Love her work. Glad to see Tinder Swindler trending. Okay, that was pretty funny. This is the one. Here it is. Astrology. Women everywhere are saying, I told you so. Tinder Swindler is a guy. The Tinder Swindler guy is a Libra. Laughing my fucking ass off. A Libra. Chupa Libra. Wait. A Libra. It's important, right? It's important that you know stuff like that. You have to know what. There we go. Libra. Who else is a Libra? Patrick Bet David, apparently. Swindler, the Tinder Swindler. Oh, yeah. The reverse card. Yeah, got it. Okay, still silly. We've been using that on Freshman Fit for a while. At least he didn't try to tell them about his skincare. Absolutely no one. Simon Leviev, my enemies are after me. Sure. Simon Leviev, Peter Hurtblood. What else is there? So all Simon from Tinder Swindler knows is to voice note. That's true. He did kind of. And by the way, that's Alani Baby, and I've used her stuff in the past too. I follow her. She's like one of the most horrible persons on Twitter right now. All right, these are kind of stupid. All right. Anyways, I thought that one about astrology was interesting. He's a Libra. Oh man, what are you asking me now? Rational Male, the book behind the Swindler. Yeah. You're the one who motivated him to do all this. You taught him how to manipulate women, you evil man. Favorite guitar style. Right now it's like gent. On that 7-string back there, which by the way is very expensive. Very expensive. Yes, that's an original Cytherea from OD from Omer Deutsch also in Israel. And he's a good dude, by the way. He's a luthier out of Israel. I want to say boutique guitar. That is a 7-string OD Cytherea. It's one of the very first ones that he actually produced back in 2016. He's been at it for a long time now, but good dude. I follow him on Instagram. You should too. And what do I like to play the most? Not super strats because CJ plays them all the time. My classical guitar. What did you say? My classic. I don't like strats more. I have some strats. I have a few. My Kramers are strats. I like my here. Grab this. Like this is my LTD. It's ESP LTD, but it's a limited. It's a EC 1000. It's, you know what makes a really good guitar? You know a really good fine instrument is it has abalone inlays. So if you're ever going to buy me a guitar, like I'm going to get that guy a guitar. I know. How can I gift? What can I gift to Rollo Tomassi? You better have abalone. My BC Rich, my Mockingbird, my super bird has abalone inlays too. I don't know. It's cool. I'm a Libra. Yeah, sure you are. Let's see. Rational Male. Yeah, I'm the one that taught him how to do all this horrible stuff. My classic guitars are, what'd you say? I have the only Gibson I own is actually a 1961 C. I think it's a C1 or a C10. I can't remember what it was, but it's a very, this is an expensive guitar. That Gibson, my classical, is very expensive too. But I actually bought it when it wasn't as expensive. I think that's it. Did I get to everybody? How crazy if Simon gave you a shout out? God, that'd be great. Please do. How awesome would that be? Rollo, don't be all play. I don't have any. Can I? No, I can't right now. Sorry, my input thing is I can't because I'm running the road board right now and I'm not on the input over here. But I could. You want me to? Oh, but I will. I'll give you a cheap thrill. You want a cheap thrill? Trial of Ascension, the band that I'm in, we will soon be doing live casts from our rehearsal studio. When we're practicing for a gig, and most likely when we're practicing for the Ginger gig that I hope we're going to get in April. It'd be very nice if we did. If you don't know who Ginger is, JINGJER, they're progressive metal. Would you say they're progressive metal? Certainly, Tatiana, the singer, is a big influence on Livy, our singer. And I really like Roman, by the way. Roman's the guitar player in there and also endorsed by OG Guitars. So that would be really cool. But I just put this up on my Instagram and hopefully we're in the running anyways. Their Ginger is coming to the brew house here in Reno and it'll be in April. I don't know the dates just yet, but they were looking for a local band. When they were looking for it, they were looking for a single local band to be the opener for that show. And so everybody starts, chiming in and commenting. I'm like, I have to mobilize the Rollo army. So that's what I did. Voting's closed now. Thank you very much. I mean, overwhelmingly voted for my band. Eileen, the only one to go touch this. Yes. Very funny. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you very much. We're at the 3:10 mark. I'm not going to do 4 hours. I am just not going to do 4 hours anymore. That was too much. Megadeth, Slayer, Metallica. Dude, Slayer. Ginger is you are correct, my friend. You get one of these. Let's see. Yes, Ginger are from the Ukraine. Roman and Tatiana. I forget. Sorry, guys. I forget the other two guys. So who remembers the bass player and the drummer? But it would be if we get that show, that is going to definitely put the band on the map, so to speak. So there you go. There you have it. I think that's pretty good for today. Oh, as far as alpha females are concerned, I know I got that earlier on. I might as well jump in. Yes, I see. Thank you. Got it. Didn't I not touch upon this? There's no such thing as an alpha female. Okay. They're not in the way that you think there is. Women, like people want to say that there's, like I said before, we're more apt to believe in the status of an alpha female than we are an alpha male. You notice that's funny. Like if you go and you start talking about alphas, people go, I can't believe he would unironically refer to men as alphas. But if I say alpha female, oh yes, Sheryl Sandberg, yes, oh yeah. But that's the difference is, and I got this question earlier on was, the difference is that when we talk about women who are on top of their game and they're, I've got my career and I've got my degree and I've got my money and I got everything. I don't have the man. I can't, whatever, I'm a high powered executive. I'm working in HR, whatever the fuck it is. You're not an alpha female. You're an alpha male. And ladies, if you think you're an alpha female, congratulations. You've become the man that you want to marry. And those guys don't want to have anything to do with you. Unfortunately, that's just the way it's got to be for you. And if I tell you anything different, it sounds like if I tell you get in touch with your female side, it sounds like I'm telling you to dumb yourself down. If I say, well, you know what? If you really want to get a guy, you're going to have to, be more feminine. You're going to have to let your hair down. You have to be sexy and in shape. You're going to have to be submissive to a degree. You're going to have to be nurturing. You have to be loving. You're going to have to, get in touch with your female side. And ladies, if any of that, I just came out of my mouth right now, if any of that sounds like I'm telling you to dumb yourself down, congratulations. You are the man that you want to marry. So when I talk about alpha females, there are alpha females, but that alpha female looks like Renee Summerfield model. Renee, like go look her up. SOMMERFIELD. Renee Summerfield. Look, the hottest chick is an alpha female. The girl with the big tits and the hourglass shape, hourglass body, figure and nice ass and long legs. That's an alpha female, because that woman is alpha in a female context. If you are this powerful, you wear, pantsuits and shoulder pads and your sports blazer or whatever, and you want to be a high powered executive, you're an alpha male with tits and a vagina. That's what you are. That's what Sheryl Sandberg is. That's what, name who else could you name as an alpha female, like a stereotypical alpha female? Who would that be? I can only come up with like Sheryl Sandberg. There's probably a lot of others. Name the politician, right? Name the woman that's in banking who would call herself an alpha female. Nancy Pelosi, right? She probably thinks of herself as an alpha female. She is not. It's the hot girl in the string bikini and the lingerie catalog. That girl, that's an alpha female. That girl who's in touch with her femininity, and she looks good, and she's like sexual, and she's available, and she looks like she, not only that, but she also, maybe in the future will be a good mother, that kind of stuff. That's an alpha female in a female context. If you are an alpha, powerful, ass-kicking boss babe, you're an alpha male in a female skin suit, more or less, because your concept of alpha is only in a male context. So that's why I say there's no such thing as an alpha female, unless you're Renee Summerfield. Go look her up. And no, I won't put a picture of her on here, because then I'll get a nudity strike. You want me to tell you about the nudity strike? Here we are at the end here. Here's your little tidbit, by the way. I want to end with this just because when I was in Miami, I was doing PBD. My point, actually, I got flued out. I got flued out by Valuetainment, and I did Adam's show as well. But while I was there, of course, I was doing the Fresh and Fit podcast, and I was there with Donovan Sharp, and I was there with Aaron Clary. It was myself, and Tommy Sotomayor actually showed up for the whole panel show, which was great. We didn't even know he was going to be able to be there, but we had to cancel a lot of these shows or make them pre-records, because right before I got there, they got a nudity strike. First time ever happened on Fresh and Fit, which is quite incredible if you think about it. You think about all the chicks that have been on there and what they wear and the ratchet ass hoes on there. You would think that there would have been a nudity strike somewhere between last January and this January, but no. And all of you guys who are doing these podcasts, by the way, and I'm talking to you right now, all you guys who are like saying, oh, this is what happened. I think I know what happened. I know exactly what happened. It's because these guys finally pushed the envelope over the edge. No, you don't know jack shit. You don't know squat, my friend. You are not there, but it is amazing to me. Amazing how confident you are in your ignorance. So you guys who made these, like I've seen these 20, 30-minute streams talking about how, they got served, man. They finally got a copyright strike. They got a strike for nudity. Oh man, they really pushed it over the edge. They must have done this, or they did it because of this, or they did it because of that. No, you are all 100% wrong. And you know you're wrong. That's the thing. You know it because you're completely ignorant of anything. It's just hearsay. It's just third-party shit that's been thrown at you, and you decided to make a show out of it. Now, I'm going to give you the truth because I was there and I saw what was going on at that time. Now, whenever I go on, I'm going to do this the safe way. I'm going to put Sam Bada up here. See Sam Bada's AV, his picture there. He's reading my book there in the black and white that he's always had. Thank you very much for that, Sam. See that AV? Well, when you're in StreamYard and you put up a picture like, let's see, let's find somebody else who wants to be on. Sancho Bohemian, you're next. See that AV? He's right there down in the left-hand corner. That right? Oh, Jessica. Let's put Jessica on. Oh, no, sorry, it's Sarah Davis. Jessica Vaughn. Jessica Vaughn. I can tell you stories about Jessica, by the way. However, let's look at Sarah here. Oh man, cute little Sarah. She's there. Okay. That picture right there, whenever you click on in StreamYard, I have a thing on the side here and it shows the chat. I'm looking at all of your chats and I put them on because I like to do that. And I feel like it is incumbent upon me to do those things. But I rarely check to see the AV. Unless it's Torsha or Sarah or somebody cute, right? Or maybe it's just, well, this is kind of cool too. A Sancho Bohemian. Let's not take anything away from you. All right. Now, here's what happened. When you have, 6,700, 8,000 live views and they're flowing by you and you're Chris Poxon and you're not thinking about it, because Lord knows I'm doing it to, a good show for me is maybe 2,000 live views. If I have 2,600 or 3,000, that's a show, right? I'm not thinking about, I wonder what the AV is before I click it up there. And you know what? The guys who hate me and hate Fresh and Fit and hate everybody else, they know that. They know you won't figure that out. And so what do? They put a dick pic in, let's see, right there, like Miles Dolding, right? Like, let's see, Alex right there. See that little pic, the little blue pic right there? For all I know, that could have been a dick pic, because when I'm looking at it over on the chat here, it's this little teeny tiny AV. I put it up on here and suddenly it shows up as an actual picture. Guess what? If that's a dick pic, if that's a tit pic, if that's an ass pic, if that's a big cooter, that's a nudity strike. And as soon as it goes up, you brigade the site. And that's exactly what they did. That's exactly what the haters did. It was like hundreds and hundreds of people say, it's a nudity strike, nudity. They had like I don't know if maybe there's a Chinese like spam site that will like spam like nudity strikes against a channel if they see that. But that one AV that you're not looking at as it's flying, and Lord knows I only have to deal with 1,400 of you right now, right? But if I'm looking at like 10,000 of you, I'm not looking at that. I'm going to put your super chat up there, especially if it's a $20 and up, or if it's $200, or if it's something else. Doesn't matter. I'm going to get a strike for that because I put it up there without looking at it. And that is definitely a security breach. It's a security flaw in StreamYard, which, what can they do? It's an AV. But what happens is guys go and they make a proxy account. They make some bullshit, Rollo TOMASSI, it's a fake Rollo, put it up there or whatever it is, fake the account, put it on screen. It shows up. And then what they do is immediately go and say, there's a nudity strike at this timestamp. Go report it. As soon as they do, they do. And that's exactly what happened with Fresh and Fit. It wasn't anything else except for that. Nothing else. And all of these guys jumped on it. Fresh and Fit this. I can't believe they finally got taken down. Oh my goodness. It's a nudity strike. It must have been one of these girls. The show that it was on had nothing to do. It was like about Kanye West. That's what the topic was about. It wasn't even on an after hour show. It was on just a regular show. And they're talking about that and it goes up and it's a nudity strike on that. That is the degree. That is the level that haters will go to try to get you ripped, to try to take you down. That's what we're dealing with. I'm only 157,000 subs. These guys are close to 600,000 subs. So all you guys are owned. Every last one of you sons of bitches who are like, I know exactly what's going on with Fresh and Fit. Fuck you. You don't know nothing. You are confident in your ignorance. And all it does is point out how much you live out. That's how much they own your ass. That's how much Fresh and Fit and myself and anybody else, that's how we live rent free in your head. You're willing to do a 30-minute video on something you know absolutely nothing about, but you're confident in it. And you're hoping you're going to hit the right buttons. You're this little low level, not even like a farm league channel, but you're dead ass confident about it. So you know what? You're owned. Tell you the truth. Next time you want to know, come to me. Go to them. They probably would have told you. But you're too stupid and too hateful to do that. So there you go. Owned.
You're goddamn right.
There you go. And by the way, that is that scam, that brigading tactic for using StreamYard, by the way. If you use OBS, you're probably not going to worry about it because I don't think it's the same sort of mechanism. But again, if you're going and going and going with all these chats, and I'm looking at tons of them right now, right? I'm not looking at I would not know what Samishi's is until it showed up. What the hell even is that Samishi? I don't know. At least Spin Doctor, I can see what he's got on there. Like that stuff. I don't know what Dexter's is. Oh, it's a Playboy bunny. Oh my God, maybe that's porn. God, you guys really, that's what I'm up against. That's what they're up against. That's what everybody, like, that's the people who, if you're using StreamYard, by the way, guys, and you need to be aware that this will happen to you. This is what they will try to do to you. That's the degree of like obsessive compulsive investment. I had one guy tell me like, oh yeah, I'm the fake Rollo and I created 80 different fake Rollo accounts. So if you ban one, I'm just going to come back on another one. You took that much time. You took your life is so empty that in your lifetime, it seemed like a good use of the very limited time you have on planet Earth to go and do that. Really. Thank you for making me that important in your life. Yes, please do, Fem Sapien. And please don't put a cooter shot in your AV. That would make me ban you. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, let's see. What else? Do I need to do bookkeeping? Yes, I do. Okay. Finally, yes, the book is out and being approved right now. I'll let you know. Trust me, you guys will be the first people to know. If you're not in my Patreon group, please get in. If you want personalized counseling, it's really difficult for me right now to do one-on-one until the book is out. Once it is out, I will take one-on-one counseling again. But if you need something right now, immediately, do consider joining my $200 tier Patreon group, where we have a group of guys. We just did it last Wednesday. I do it once a month. It's 2 hours. And we get there and you can ask me anything you want. It's personalized stuff. And we had a really good conversation. Sometimes it's just a good conversation. Please do consider joining that. What did you want, Michael? At least it's just an M. At least it's not a dick pic. Powerful men, Musk, Bezos seem beta, but they may fear social pushback. Playboy lifestyle be tolerated from them. DiCaprio gets away with murder because Hollywood has already seen it as depraved. Tesla, Microsoft, and Amazon, not so much. Well, I'll tell you this: powerful men have access to three things: young women, like exclusive access to women, territory, and resources. That's what has defined powerful men over the course of history. And so when we look at Musk, you look at Bezos, you look at Gates, they are very much beta blue pill guys. If Musk is a whole different animal, but Bezos and Gates, very much blue pill. They did what they thought was they made their blue pill beds when they were not as paid as they are now. Bezos is like one of the richest sons of bitches, and like he's the richest man in the world, right? Finally he's single. Who does he get with? Lauren Sanchez. 49-year-old Lauren Sanchez. A career predator grifter woman gets with her. He could live if he wanted to, like Dan Bilzerian, or like Dan Bilzerian presents himself. Yes, I know he pays for his girls. Stop it. But he could if if Jeff Bezos wanted a new girl every night for the rest of his life, to pay for a new girl every night, he could do it. But he chooses Lauren Sanchez. That, my friends, is a blue pill beta. Money, status, even physique is no insurance against a blue pill mindset or beta mindset. And last but not least, Chris Voss has to put his name on my screen. I used to do collections for my company. In small claims court, there would be all these guys suing women execs for massive amounts of money they gave there. Really, I don't know what company was that, though. My company in the small claims court. Were they getting any of it? Or they were hoping that they would settle out of court? Because usually when you file stuff for big amounts of money, it's like, okay, I'll take a third of that and we'll settle it out of court. Just ask me how I know. Because that's a common scam by certain people in the manosphere. All right, guys, I'm out. I'll see you guys later. We're now at 3:27. Thanks for watching. I will be back. Oh, let's see. I will be back on Wednesday. I'm sorry I've been sort of out of things, but I'm getting back into things. I'll be back on Wednesday. I'll do a midweek show. I'm not sure if I'll do it. You guys want a live stream? Maybe I'll do a live stream. Wednesday will be my next show. Either it'll be a pre-record or something. again, I'm going to be at the Collective, Sarah. I'll be at the Collective for George Gammon. That'll be in May. I am still debating on whether or not I'm going to go to the CME. It's going to depend on logistics at this point. My daughter is graduating from her postgraduate stuff, and I don't know if that date conflicts with that. We'll see. As a possibility, I'll be at the CME. If I am, I'm probably not going to be I'm going to turn down the keynote speaker, but if I go, I'll probably will be somebody there talking, I guess. I don't know if I want to be the keynote guy just yet, but it's a possibility I'll be in Miami for that. And I will most definitely be in Miami for the Rebel Capitalist show or Rebel Capitalist conference, which will be in June of this year. And I will definitely be there for that. So those are my 3 planned things, unless somebody calls me otherwise. So there you go. All right, guys, I'll see you later. New book's coming. Relax. You'll be the first to know, really. All right, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.